He's managed to get himself on the inside, but he's caught up on the curve. Sean Allen, the outside special. We've had a huge crash. This can't be real.
I think he might have the strong done finally. Dayne Warren gives him no space. He's in the wall. He's in the wall. Turn point. He's taken out Bruce Dean as well. Oh, big moment there. Kurt Stenberg on his roof.
Big crash at turn 4. That is an unfortunate huge crash. Oh, the huge wiggle. I thought he was clear. Final corner, that's the death!
Good evening everyone and welcome to the fourth round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. We're here in New Zealand for the New Zealand SuperSprint here in Pukekohe. Not Hampton Downs as was originally the plan, but due to the current situation as they're not in real life going to Hampton Downs, we decided that we'd give Pukekohe a go because we like it that much. My name's Stairs. I'm joined in commentary tonight by Madbird. Good evening, Madbird. How are you tonight?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much, Stairs. Welcome along, everybody. We are in Jacinda country, and welcome to Pukekohe. And yeah, real races aren't really going much of anywhere at the moment, except to their computers to do exactly what we're doing here tonight.
Absolutely. And, well, let's have a look at what happened last night, because we did have some Super 2 action, and so we've got some...
RSM Latino, I did just have it in my head and it was completely gone, but it is now back, so we are all good.
All good, and we're about to get started on the qualifying session, so let's have a quick look at the track. This, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, is Pukekohe, little bull ring near Auckland in New Zealand in the North Island, and should produce good racing, always tends to do so. 2.91 kilometre circuit. Goes in a clockwise direction and a very, very fast turn 1 into a chicane at turns 2 and 3, and then the ever important turn 4 onto the back straight, and then into this back section into the chicane. Very tight, that turn 6, bending back on itself on the hairpin back towards the main straight, turns 9, 10 and 11 there. And last year it was Dayne Warren, the man to beat. Not here tonight, but his brother Dayne Warren looks like he is going to be very, very hard to beat based on the times we've seen so far.
Yeah, absolutely. He has been the class of the field so far this year, and it looks as if that is set to continue. Just before we hopped in to start the broadcast, Stairs, you were saying that you'd done some laps around Pukekohe to sort of get the lay of the land. You'd set you said a 3.6.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up on the broadcast, to be honest. It wasn't.
And then
near what
we
these
both
guys-
sort of looked at the timing screen and saw that Dayne Warren had done a 1.6. So, and Stairs is no slouch. So it just goes to show how quick Dayne Warren is. And I've thrown my co-commentator under the bus slightly.
Certainly have. You certainly have, but Dayne Warren, well, the championship leader, he's actually not finished off of pole position in this entire year. So that's quite incredible. He's looking to extend that run of pole positions, and I would strongly suspect that he will do that.
I would be very surprised. I think it would take some sort of technical issue for him to not take pole position. He seems to have another gear that the rest of the drivers just don't have, and he's able to switch into that gear, a top gear, if you will, and the rest of them are all poodling along in fourth.
So we're watching Kurt Stenberg there, defending champion, coming into the chicane. We've actually got a couple of wildcards join us, and we've had a very, very late joining here. Now, he goes by the name of One in the wildcard car there, but I'm led to believe that is Brody Kostecki driving that car, and that is quite a turn-up for this series. Brody Kostecki,
Star-studded,
who nearly beat Scott McLaughlin in the E-Series less than a week ago at the E-Series Bathurst race. So we're joined by such esteemed drivers as Brody Kostecki, so let's see if he can take the fight to the likes of your Dayne Warrens and your Thomas McMillans and your Kurt Stenbergs. I believe he's just installed the game and the mod tonight, so it might take him a little bit of time to get up to pace, however.
Yeah, it is a little bit different. Although, I mean, I guess it is sim racing, regardless of what game you're doing it in or anything like that. So I imagine that his pace will come through pretty quickly.
Early times coming through. We've got Colin Warwick setting a 102.6. Sean Allen's just gone to the top. Very, very close, though, as it is 200ths of a second ahead of Colin Warwick. Luke Rosella, who I believe we've got some people asking about, a bit of a crowd favourite in the YouTube chat. We've got a lot of Luke Rosella fans. He's gone to third place, and he's got a new livery for this round, so we'll endeavour to show you that in a few moments' time.
Kurt Stenberg jumping up into that third place with a 102.7. So Dayne Warren yet to put in a time. Speaking of our old mate number one, he's just jumped up into second place.
So that's a bit confusing. You got first and second and first? Well, that's
God,
that's pretty quick already. So 102.4 from Brody Kostecki. Colin Warwick still in provisional pole position. We haven't really seen anything from Dayne Warren yet. He's on his outlap, I believe.
Yeah, it probably doesn't feel like he's under too much pressure to. Whoa! Thomas McMillan has arrived with a 102.2. He has jumped up into first place. I seem to remember last season Thomas McMillan having a rather violent end coming out of turn 1 at this particular race.
That's right. He had quite a few violent ends to races in 2019, and 2020 has proved no different, really. He did have a decent round, having said that, last round in Tasmania. So let's see what Thomas McMillan can do.
Looks like this isn't going to be a hot lap for Thomas McMillan. He's lifted out of that one. Who have we got going around on a hottie? Not sure why I said it. Oh, Kurt Stenberg has had a tangle with Colin Warwick, co-admins, having a big scrap on their warm-up. I'm hoping on their warm-up laps. That wasn't the end of someone's flying lap.
Just getting a replay of that moment there, Manford. Let's see what happened there. Oh, dearie me. That was a big spin. Actually, Colin did very well to try and get the thing out the way. He just stabbed. He knew he was spinning around. He stabbed the throttle to get the rear to come round. I don't know if it actually saved Kurt Stenberg's lap, however, but it was a good effort on Colin's part to get out of the way while having a moment of his own.
Absolutely. It was, yeah, he just had to, whoa, and Kurt Stenberg having a moment of his own, to say the exact same words that you just did. He was up by about a tenth and a half on that particular lap, but he was also up on 2 wheels, and that was going to put paid to that particular lap time very quickly. Nearly probably caused a little bit of poo to come out in the underpants of Steve Warwick. Another call up from Super 2, and Colin Warwick's father. The mended-footed Colin Warwick?
Yeah, I'd say surely he must be doing pretty well now. Sean Allen's just gone to the top on a 102.0, so I've neglected my responsibilities here in mentioning that the pole time from last year was a 101.966, so we haven't quite got there yet, but we're mighty, mighty close.
We are. Dayne Warren yet to set his fast lap.
He's on an outlap now.
He's on his outlap now, so expect that to come slamming through the wall like the Kool-Aid man any moment now. Sean Allen finally got his season off the ground last round with a decent finish in the second race at Tasmania. Just hasn't been able to... His luck has not been there so far this season, so hopefully this is the sign of better things for Sean Allen. Currently leading the timing sheets.
Yeah, he's had promising pace. He's just never been able to convert it, at least up until last round in Tasmania. This is the man who has started every single race of this championship so far on pole position, Dayne Warren, and he's down through the first sector by quite some margin on Sean Allen, 0.2 of a second, so he's got a lot of work to do.
It's a busy old track. There's a lot of cars out there, although having said that, it looks as if probably about half the field are in the pits, so must have just been the particular shot that I was looking at. That's very wide there going into the chicane. Yeah, maybe he hasn't. He's done himself a bit of a mischief not getting out there early. He's not in the groove obviously, and he's got runners all around him trying to get out of the way.
He's not actually that far away considering. If you look at the split there, down by about a tenth. I don't know if I was looking at his personal split or the split to the pole sitter, but let's see what Dayne Warren can do as his benchmark. Just second place, so 0.2 off.
That's a pretty good benchmark.
It's not a bad one. Now let's have a look at Luke Rosella, because he joined last round, had an excellent debut in the Automobilista Supercars Championship as a wild card. Now he's got his own livery, and the Tamiya, we were talking about that pre-broadcast, Mad Bird. I like that livery, it looks good.
I think it's the business. It looks fantastic.
Now he's got some traffic in the form of Steve Warwick in the Penrite car just up ahead of him, the wild card from Super 2. Hopefully that doesn't slow him down.
Just got in the chat, we've got Jackson Barry asking, who is 1 on the timing boards? Not P1. 1 is Brody Kostecki, who I believe is a real life supercars boy. So big leagues is what we are at now, and Dayne Warren is currently on a flyer. He's 0.2 up on his personal best as he's coming around the last corner, nice and wide out on the grass, and pulls it in just in time. This is going to be pole position, if I'm not mistaken. Oh,
you are not mistaken, Madbird, and that is a new track record in the Automobilista Supercars Championship, a 101.674. We knew we had it in him. This championship so far has been a tour of the lap records. How many he can destroy? My goodness, that was Jack Handel in the back of shot there, going
that was dramatic.
Yeah, I don't know how he's managed to carry so much speed into turn 4. He must have got it all lit up on the curbs on the exit of turn 2. Dayne Warren retires his car to the escape road on the in lap. We've got a lot of practice starts by the looks of it going on. Lots of smoke.
Probably not a bad idea.
I thought for a moment I'd left the blue light filter off on my computer, but the time of day and game is actually just quite a nice sort of shade of dusk.
Yeah, it's the sun's going down. That's for damn sure.
You know it.
Ollie Silney in the chat just saying, not a fan of the livery personally. Well, you know, that just goes to show that you can't account for taste with some people.
We've got Thomas McMillan, speaking of, well, taste.
Taste?
He's gone fourth. He's got a PB on that lap, but I don't think it actually improved his position. I couldn't remember where he was before that. In fact, I can guess.
He was in fourth, so he hasn't improved his position. but he has maintained his 4th, and he's currently up by a 10th on his personal best through the first sector. So
And
if
got some
he gets a clear run, yeah, it looks like the car was trying to get out of the way for him just ahead, but didn't have the pace to catch him, and he's going to catch him right here.
No,
and they've actually done that quite well.
One of the wild cards, I don't know which, we've got a number of wild cards which we'll go over. One of them is Joshua Anderson, another real life racing driver who...
That one's actually Brody Kostecki that he's just overtaken.
Well, Brody Kostecki will certainly... He might not have a lot of experience in Automobilista, I don't personally know, but he's certainly got a lot of experience in iRacing, and that certainly showed when he nearly won the final race of the All-Stars E-Series against Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen the other night. Thomas McMillan going for second, so he displaces Sean Allen, and he's only a quarter of a second away from Dayne Warren, which really isn't much to be ashamed of, I would have thought.
Is this the, are we seeing the rising of a new Thomas McMillan, who seems to be capable of some pretty hot laps, but at the same time isn't putting it off every other lap?
Well, Thomas McMillan's always been pretty quick in qualifying. It's the race consistency that I think, in fairness, that he has lacked at times, and I think he would be the first to admit that. It wasn't a great year, were his exact words, I believe, in reference to 2019.
A larger understatement has never been said. Steve Warwick in the wall, just on the back half of the track. If anyone is aware of the status of Colin Warwick's feet, I would be very interested to know.
Well, it hasn't affected him on this lap. He's on a purple sector in the first sector, I believe. Looking at the live timing, he's done a 12.0, which is about a tenth of a second faster than Dayne Warren managed. So I'm interested to see how this lap turns out for Colin Warwick. His previously broken foot not hampering him too badly. He's lost a bit of time to Dayne through the middle sector, where apparently Dayne is mega. Still up on his own personal best, though, is Colin by a tenth and a half.
Going to jump ahead of Kurt Stenberg at this, right?
Yes, but not Brody Kostecki. I would imagine fifth is about all he can manage with this lap. Very wide through that final corner onto the grass, but he's obviously carried the momentum, and he does indeed go fifth. Only loses a marginal amount through that final sector, does Colin Warwick.
Yeah, Dayne Warren just doing some practice starts along the back straight. You're not wrong. I'm not sure why everyone has decided that this particular round is the round that they need to practice on. And oh my goodness, there's going to be a horrible accident. Luke Rosella looked like he was a little bit caught out there by Dayne Warren stationary off the racing line on the back straight, but luckily there wasn't an airplane crash.
Yeah, that was lucky. So currently Dayne Warren on pole position from Thomas McMillan, Sean Allen in third, Brody Kostecki is in fourth place, Colin Warwick in fifth, Kurt Stenberg in sixth, Luke Rosella in seventh, David Nenadich in eighth, Josh Anderson in ninth, and Brody Steen rounds out the top 10 with less than a minute to go in qualifying. Now Thomas McMillan is in the pits, so he won't be improving. And it looks like Colin Warwick and Luke Rosella have found each other on the track, so that won't be doing either of them any good if they're planning on making another lap. Colin Warwick has clearly backed off or made a mistake on that lap because he's 3 seconds off, and I think Luke Rosella's backed off as well, but he was right behind Colin when that lap started, so that's no good. Now someone has jumped ahead of Colin Warwick. I think that's Kurt Stenberg improving on that previous lap.
Trading blows.
The two admins.
Sean Allen was, sorry to cut across you, Sean Allen was looking like he was going to go on for another hot lap, but then flew across the second and third corners with some gusto and put paid to that particular lap attempt.
We've got Brody Kostecki on a lap as the timer finally ticks down to 0, so this will be his last attempt. See if he can move himself up the order. I didn't see what his first split was. He's got 2 wheels on the grass on the exit there of turn 6, so I think he's backed out of that one, and indeed he has. So we're going to see Colin Warwick come to the line, see what he can do, and he's got no response there, as I suspected. I think
Zach Baker was in 11th. He's jumped up into 7th place.
From Zach Baker, displacing Luke Rosella from 7th place.
and relegating Brody Steen to 11th. So Joshua Anderson now the tail man in the top 10. And I believe that is all she wrote.
So Dayne Warren, pole sitter, and keeps his 100% qualifying record intact, Madbird.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. The man has so much speed. He's 3/10 doesn't sound like much when you look at it. And that's the advantage that he has over Thomas McMillan in second place. But it's just every round he has that little edge. I reckon he'd probably have another 10th in it or two if he wrung the absolute neck of it, but he didn't need to. So he is taking away his 5th, 7th consecutive pole position.
That would be 7th, I believe.
Yes, I've forgotten how many rounds we had, but yes, that many pole positions in a row is many pole positions.
Yes, we've had 3 rounds to this point, so this is round 8, and 2 races in each round. We've had a bit of an argument, Manbird, going on in the YouTube chat while we've taken our eyes off the children, because after we mentioned we like the Tamiya livery of Luke Rosella, and I believe it was it Jackson Barry who said they didn't like it very much? No, sorry,
Ollie Silney, yeah.
Said not a fan of the livery. Mick Rosella jumps to the defence of his son. Kick him! Don't want him criticising my son. Jackson Barry says soft, and then Mick Rosella said something which he's since regretted, and so the message has been retracted. And then Jackson Barry says it looks good. So whatever Mick Rosella said has certainly done the trick. And
absolutely,
1980 says go Brody.
Shot down any dissent on the subject of his son's Tamiya livery.
And rightly so, I would have thought.
Rightly so. I think it's a bloody cracker. It just it looks it's an odd brand to have as a motorsports livery, but I quite like it. I had it on my DRM livery, just as I had the Tamiya logo somewhere on there, not the entire. It wasn't the entire livery, but no, it looks good. Good colours, blue and green, blue and red. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. Well, Luke Rosella couldn't go wrong in his opening round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship in Tasmania. So we're going to have a quick look at Madbird at those. Beg your pardon, we've not got audio on that clip, so we're just going to fix that if we can. Bear with me. Just
juggling a dozen plates with 3 hands is running this broadcast, and Stairs doesn't even have 3 hands, so he does an incredible job with the 2 puny human hands that he does have.
Just a sec. So apologies for that. It's just when you think you've covered all the bases, there's one little thing that you forgot to do. But I believe we have now got audio on the graphics. So this was the results of race 5, and it was Dayne Warren who took victory from Kurt Stenberg, who had a strong round last round in Tasmania. Thomas McMillan kicking off his best result of the championship, 3rd place. Luke Rosella, 4th place. What an excellent race on debut that was. And then Joshua Anderson, the wild card, coming in to finish 5th. And that was the top 5 for race 5. And Madbird, race 6.
Yeah, Dayne Warren, of course, taking out the victory with Kurt Stenberg coming in 2nd again. And Sean Allen, finally, after 5 races of torture, getting a podium to kick off his 2020 season. Been nothing but bad luck for him so far. Zach Baker in 4th, decent result for ZB Racing. Thomas McMillan with 5th, still decent points result. And we commented on the maturity of him to bring home that place, where he would have just bailed.
That's right. Now Dayne Warren, as a result of his winning streak, now has an entire race win clear of Brody Steen in 2nd place in the championships. That's really quite hard to do with this point system, which very much rewards consistency. But that's the score. Jake Maloney in 3rd place.
He has been consistent, hasn't he?
Exactly right. Well, and consistently victorious, consistently dominant, I should say. Quite a number of people, though, from 3rd down to 6th or 7th, all in the 500s. And then later, following them, Thomas McMillan would probably not be that pleased with 12th, but certainly would have improved on where he was with the podium finish in Tasmania. Alex Cattle in 13th place. Aidan Schultz Team 11 should be a little bit higher than 14th, I should think. Steve Warwick in 15th, the Super 2 wildcard. Luke Rosella on his first... What are you giggling at?
Sorry, no, continue. Oh, never mind.
It's gone.
Thomas McMillan and Brody Kostecki are having an absolute demolition derby around the entire track. I'm not sure if there's feeling behind it or if it's in jest, but I've just been enjoying watching them ping pong off each other for an entire lap of Pukekohe.
There we go. Well, the team's points, Madman?
Yeah, Race on Oz with a slim lead over Trans-Tasman Racing. Logitech G Altus Esports in 3rd place. ZP Racing currently in 4th. I wasted too much time talking about Brody and Thomas.
It's alright, it was on the screen for long enough if you wanted to see it. Let's see if we can catch some of this Thomas McMillan, Brody Kostecki action that you're talking about. I believe
he's fallen off the back now.
Yes, they've broken up the fight, haven't they?
It appears that they have.
Just sorry, confirmation on the bottom of your screen there of some of the drivers we've got entered. By no means an exhaustive list because Brody Kostecki was a late entrant, so we didn't manage to get him on there. But he is driving the wildcard car that all of the wildcards use before they get a livery of their own.
Absolutely, and Thomas McMillan just looks like he's waiting for him, and then it's been brake tested by Brody. They're going to do a practice start, I think, side by side. Oh, that was quite close with Colin Warwick. Oh my goodness!
Probably good.
They're shouting abuse at each other, probably about whether VB is better than Han Superdry.
Well, VB is not better
between
than
the cars,
beer, but anyway, that is what it is. That's merely my opinion. They're doing all right there. Going side by side through that corner is no mean feat, and in fact, they haven't achieved it without a little bit of damage. And to sideswipe one of the Trans-Tasman cars and then swerved directly into Brody Kostecki, who, if you've just joined us, is driving under the name 1. Here's our wildcards down the bottom there, or some of them.
As in the number 1, not 1 as in Juan Pablo Montoya, who would win one Formula Race 1. Dr. Joshi in the chat's just saying rat poison is slightly better than VB.
Yeah, well, it's hard to disagree with that. Now,
you yourself had a VB recently. Well, not recently, a couple of months ago, Stairs.
You're bringing up all the things that we don't want to bring up.
Yeah, I believe you bought it for someone as a joke, and then they didn't want to drink it.
Well, I'm a man of my word, Madbird, and I was tagged in one of those Facebook things that says, if you don't respond in 10 minutes, you owe such and such a long neck of VB. And so I was true to my word, and I bought the particular person who tagged me in this post a VB long neck, and he didn't drink it, so it was just wasting space in my fridge, so I decided to consume it. Probably should have tipped it down the sink, but anyway, that's what happened.
Put it in a glass, didn't you? Tried to class it up a little bit?
I did. It didn't work. Race 1 is about to get underway here in Pukekohe. The 4th round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. This is the sprint race, 20 laps for a race distance of roughly 60 kilometres. And quite a tight little bull ring. There's quite a bumpy circuit, Madbird, and I think that will certainly claim its victims.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you can see them when they're heading around the lap. They're the front end is bashing off the ground. But it looks as if they're starting off on their warm-up lap, Stairs, so I'll leave it to you to run through the grid.
Yeah, we're still looking at just some of the graphics at the moment, but we'll run through them in a short while when we get pictures. Here we go. We're starting with the pole man, which of course is Dayne Warren coming along the back straight, who has kept his 100% pole record alive. And Thomas McMillan, what a great qualifying session from him. 2nd place, can he stay there? We certainly saw him try to take the fight to his brother, to Dayne's brother, Ethan Warren, in the 2nd race last year, but it all ended in tears. Sean Allen in 3rd place for Race on Oz, and alongside him, Brody Kostecki joining us for tonight. And he starts out at 4th place, ahead of the defending champion, Kurt Stenberg, in 5th place, who is joined by his admin colleague in Colin Warwick for Penrite Racing in 6th place. Zach Baker, the first of the ZB guys, in 7th place. He's got Luke Rosella behind him. And behind him is David Nenovich in the Zach Baker Racing Mustang. Now Joshua Anderson, the wildcard madbird, has failed to make it to the grid, so it doesn't look like he's made it out of the pits either, so may not be starting this race, very unfortunately for him.
That's a shame.
Steen in 11th place will have Dominic Ferraris for company, and then Hayden Kruger starts out of 13th place. Another our wildcards from last round, new livery for Hayden Kruger, looking forward to seeing him. Luke Rosella's teammate, in fact, for Australian Racing. Aidan Schultz for Team 11. 14th place, ahead of the Race on Oz satellite driver of Alex Cattle. RSM Latino, the Super 2 Championship leader, in 16th place, ahead of Matt Devine, another new driver for tonight. We've got Steve Warwick in the Penrite car, Brat, one of our wildcards, Jack Handel in DuPont Racing Autos car, and Adam Zeitinger for Demon Racing, rounding out the field.
Bloody well done, Stairs.
That's a short lap to do. Quite a large grid.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought
cars.
you had plenty of time, but yeah.
I didn't.
It compressed.
It did compress, but we got them all done, so let's hope we're all lined up. Looks like we are, and we're going to go racing here in Pukekohe. And look at the smoke as they all get the wheels lit up, and it's a great start from Dayne Warren as they all file into the first corner. It looks like Sean Allen's coming under a bit of pressure there from Kurt Stenberg, and Thomas Millen has slot up into second. We've got side-by-side action behind. Do they all get through cleanly? It looks like it's all right so far, Madbird.
Yeah, it does. That's David Nenadich getting ahead of Brody Steen behind his teammate, Zach Baker. Very good start from all of them, actually. I was watching the whole top 6, and there was not too much to write home about. There was a little bit of scary moment for Sean Allen when he had Brody Kostecki and Kurt Stenberg both squabbling over his rear, but they both seem to have backed off good enough for him. Just to let you know, Joshua Anderson did start the race. He started from the pit lane, so he is about a sector behind everyone else at the moment.
That's unfortunate. Just see him on the live timing there, coming down the back straight as they're all now filing through the final corner, or coming towards the final corner, I should say. Dayne Warren leading by almost a full second there. Thomas McMillan's lost a huge amount of ground to Dayne Warren in the final sector of the first lap. We've got the ZB guys going absolutely side by side. My goodness gracious me, looked like that was going to end in tears. And it is David Nenadich.
Sorry, taking that position away from his teammate. I don't think there's any love lost there between those two teammates. We've got a lot of smoke going through turns 3 and 4, but it looks as if everyone's managed to stay on the track. Just, my goodness, yeah, it's a hairy couple of corners, those first two.
Yeah, it was a great start from David Nenadich. He's up 2 spots from where he started, to the detriment of his teammate Zach Baker, who's gone backwards. And Brody Steen looking like he's making a move up the inside there of Luke Rosella, who just gets 2 wheels on the grass, and that opens the door for... Brody Steen is around there. And did Dominic Ferraris make the position? It looks like... Let's see if we can go back a bit further and see. We can indeed confirm that Dominic Ferraris was on the back of Luke Rosella, but he's still fighting there. But Brody Steen actually lost a surprisingly small amount of time out of that. No,
yeah,
sorry,
he's lost a fair few positions. He's down into 15th. Yep.
Okay. I thought he was right behind them, but I'm wondering if he had another moment. Meanwhile, back at the front, it is still Thomas McMillan chasing down Dayne Warren, 0.8 of a second the gap, and Sean Allen in 3rd place, Kurt Stenberg in 4th, ahead of Brody Kostecki, who's lost a spot off the start.
Colin Warwick has got David Nedich right up his tailpipe. He's trying to sneak down the inside, heading into the chicane. I don't reckon he's done it. I reckon Kurt Stenberg, Colin Warwick has outbroke him, and he has indeed. Both the ZB guys up on their 2 wheels for a split second. But Colin Warwick is looking like he is well and truly under a lot of pressure here from the 2 blue and white cars.
Here we go. David Nedovich had a little bit of a look down the inside there. And I wonder if this is a bit of teammate work from the ZB guys to try and unsettle Colin Warwick. But I don't think Zach Baker's actually close enough to capitalise.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, it's an interesting position for David Nedovich to be in. Do you want to be, if this was real racing, would you really want to be bettering the guy who owns your team?
Well, that's exactly right. Just have a look at a replay to see what on earth. In fact, it's happened a little bit a little bit of time ago, but we've got Brody Kostecki has managed to... Oh, he's completely shortcut the track at the chicane. I was wondering how he got ahead of Kurt Stenberg and Sean Allen. He's just gone for a la-la across the grass.
Looks as if he just conceded the position to Kurt Stenberg with no argument. So I believe he was under the correct impression that was probably a little bit rich. So he is now back into his 5th place.
Yeah, fair enough, because that was very confusing. I'm like, oh, how on earth did he get up that far? Because
we've got
3 positions.
We've got Steve Warwick missing a tyre in the pits. I don't know if they can repair that, Steve. But never mind, it appears that they have. So perhaps he wasn't without a tyre. I thought he was. Nevertheless, he is in the pits.
Just trying to see if we can catch a replay of that. Oh, he's come into the pits. We haven't caught what happened to Steve Warwick, but losing a tyre has clearly necessitated a pit stop. And there it is.
Just in the chat, we've got Foster Big Lolly. That name I love. Asking anyone like Midori. It's my fave. I'm quite partial to some Midori with lemonade.
I don't think it's Big Lolly. Just quietly.
Is it not Big Lolly?
Biggioli?
Biggioli, that's right. I think we had this exact same discussion last round because from where I'm sitting, I'm squinting quite hard at my screen and it looks like it says Big Lolly.
Kai Henderson asking for a black flag for Luke Rosella. I don't know what for.
Yeah, no, I was about to say that was he was sort of innocent in that particular accident. He was getting a shunt from behind by Dominic Ferraris, which pushed him into Brody Steen.
Now, Dayne Warren has skipped away to a 2-second advantage. Another fastest lap at 101.9. So he's, I mean, it's not as fast as his qualifying lap, but that is faster than any lap we had last year. So that's breaking right over his brother Ethan Warren there for Dayne. In fact, he's just lost a bit of time on this last lap to Thomas McMillan. So just trying to investigate what on earth happened there as we watch this battle between Kurt Stenberg and Brody Kostecki.
Yeah, they're having a great little tussle. Kurt Stenberg seems to have the measure of Brody Kostecki at the moment, but he's not exactly pulling away. Brody Kostecki's hanging on to the back of that car. Not good, just saying. Great content. So appreciate that, not good. And we've got Master Gamer 22344 going, ah! So appreciate that as well. Love your input. We've got the two ZB guys have dropped off the back of Colin Warwick.
We've got a battle for the lead, man, Bird. I don't know what's happened to Dayne Warren, but he's lost a lot of time to Thomas McMillan while I was busy messing around with the replay graphics. But my goodness gracious me, this could be a lunge here for Thomas McMillan coming down into the chicane, turn 5. Thomas McMillan sends it down the inside. And is he going to get the job done? There's a little bit of door-to-door action there. And Dayne Warren keeps it in there, and he's going to escort Thomas onto the grass, which I would say he was entitled to do, given how rudely Thomas McMillan biffed him in the first place. So it's a bit of tit for tat there between the two battling over the lead. And look at who has joined the party, Sean Allen.
Yeah, it's become a threesome.
Oh.
I've had a quick look back at the lap before. I can't see, there was never a mistake from Dayne Warren or anything like that. He just seemed to, it was almost like he lifted off. He just slowed right down and along the back straight, and Thomas McMillan caught right up by the time they hit the chicane. So not sure what's happening there.
It's difficult to tell whether it's
Thomas McMillan all over the back of him. Sorry to cut across you.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to tell if it's Dayne Warren easing off or Thomas McMillan turning up the wick, because they were battling each other so hard on the last lap that they obviously cost each other time. They're really stretched away from Sean Allen here, as Thomas McMillan once again goes for the inside and then tries to swipe across the front of Dayne Warren before he was in front. And the over-under, and Dayne Warren gets back in front of Thomas McMillan. Meanwhile, in the back of shot, we've got Kurt Stenberg losing the place to Brody Kostecki up into 4th place. And once again, Sean Allen closes up while these two are fighting each other. We've still got side-by-side action between Kurt Stenberg and Brody Kostecki in the back of shot. This is a fantastic battle. It's hard to know where to look, Madbird.
Yeah, so Kurt Stenberg's hung on to that 4th place for now. But as you say, Thomas McMillan all over the back of Dayne Warren. Where has I can't see that it's Thomas McMillan turning up the wick because I just couldn't see him having the pace, but perhaps he did have another gear. He had that top gear that I was talking about. He just elected not to use it during qualifying and waited until halfway through the first race to show it off. And Sean Allen, as you say, less than a second behind these two. So if they have a big tussle, perhaps at this chicane they're about to come into, he's there to pick up the pieces.
Well, he's not close enough on this time. We're looking at Kurt Stenberg now, actually defending from Colin Warwick, so he's falling back from Brody Kostecki, if anything. Colin Warwick has used this opportunity to great effect to close up on his old rival. Meanwhile, at the front, it is Dayne Warren leading from Thomas McMillan, and Sean Allen sniffs a really, really good result here tonight.
Yeah, he does. Thomas McMillan had a very hairy exit of the, I was going to say hairpin, the chicane, and Sean Allen was all over the back of him, so he's definitely putting the pressure on. But Thomas McMillan isn't falling away. He's still within half a second of Dayne Warren ahead, so this top three could very much close up.
Could be top four if Brody Kostecki's got anything like the pace. He's just starting to break away from Kurt Stenberg now, who was... Well, having said that, I think he's made a bit of a mistake through turn 4, and Kurt Stenberg's closed right back up again. Colin Warwick isn't as close as he was a few moments ago, and the two ZB guys in the back of shot, but wow, good stuff.
This race is a yo-yo, isn't it?
It is a bit of a yo-yo. We're certainly seeing some drivers stronger in other parts of the track than others. I know that Dayne Warren actually shared his setup with a lot of the guys. He shared it publicly, so anyone who
That's very nice of him.
was in the Discord server during the week would have seen that. And I know that Thomas McMillan was running that as early as the night of the previous round. But he's made a huge mistake somewhere on this lap because he's fallen all the way back into the clutches of Sean Allen.
Yeah, just a messy lap by the looks of it, and he's got his tyres dipped in the grass again. You don't want that as you're going into turn 1. He's just got I think he's gotten a little bit in on his head. He needs to in on his head. That's a phrase that I didn't mean to say, but he's inside himself a little bit. He needs to just calm down. He's not going to catch Dayne Warren. He's gone off again. If he catches up, then he will, but he's not going to get there by putting it in the wall.
Now, Kurt Stenberg has relit his fire because he's caught back up to Brody Kostecki, and he's putting him under a little bit of pressure. Brody Kostecki just misses the apex there a little bit at turn 5, and Kurt Stenberg lights the rears up on the exit of 6, and that's going to do him no good at all. Now, someone's locked up ahead. That's actually
Sean
Thomas
Allen
McMillan.
Alongside Thomas McMillan.
Exactly. Yep. And that's given him an advantage. I don't know if he's close enough to be able to chuck it down the inside of the final corner. That would be a brave move, Madbird. And he has
would be a very brave move.
not done so.
He has not done so, and Dayne Warren must be thanking his lucky stars, looking in his rearview mirror, seeing them tussling, as he's able to skip off to a currently 2-second lead.
Which is about as much as he's had during this race. It's not something we say very often about Dayne Warren. He's got more airtime, I think, tonight than he has throughout the rest of the series. Now,
something's happened with the ZB Racing guys, because David Nedich has fallen back to 9th place behind Luke Rosella. His teammate Zach Baker still in 7th, so I wonder if that was a teammate tussle that sent David Nedich tumbling back for positions.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Oh! Thomas Miller looked away from the screen. What on earth happened there? We catch...
I think he might have cut the chicane, because he's going... Yeah, he did indeed. So he's going very slowly. Thomas McMillan has overtaken him, and... Oh, sorry, Sean Allen's overtaken him.
Yeah, he's
and
done
Thomas
the same
McMillan...
thing Brody Kostecki did a few laps ago, and he's obviously let Sean Allen back through again. He just locked up the brakes, obviously.
Well, Sean Allen was behind him, so there was no letting him back through, but he just wasn't able to get on the power coming out of the hairpin fast enough, and Sean Allen's gone, yoink, I'll take that.
It's that old
and
thing.
And is now up into 2nd place.
Who's that off? It's one of the...
it is one of the wild cards.
One of the wild cards.
It is.
Not Brody Kostecki.
It is Brap.
It's Brap. So he's a lap down. We actually have 2 DNFs in this race so far. Dominic Ferraris and Steve Warwick. So apologies to those two. We didn't see how that happened. As Thomas McMillan tries to retake 2nd place from Sean Allen, and I don't think he's getting it stopped. Madbird, he certainly isn't. So that's the 2nd time in 2 laps he's cut that. And he's going to have to let Sean Allen back through again, I would have thought. And he does.
Yeah, it looks as if he's
just going
looks as if he's going wide to let him through, but he's trying to, and I mean, fair enough, he's trying to lose as little time as possible while letting him back through.
It's Probably annoying Sean Allen. He's trying to get himself into a rhythm, and they're now 4 seconds adrift of lead of Dayne Warren.
Oh no!
Sean Allen
And he's hit Sean Allen!
Just as I said, he was having his rhythm upset. Well, he's going to lose further positions now because Brody Kostecki and Kurt Stenberg bearing down like a ton of bricks, and they're going to go 3 wide down the main straight. Sean Allen's now up to speed, and he's somehow ahead, but Brody Kostecki's got 2 in 1. He's going to go to turn 2. Oh, he gives him the room. He gives Sean Allen the room, and somehow we've got a sideways. Brody Kostecki gets bumped by Thomas Vermeulen, and it's Sean Allen going speedway on the exit of the corner. How do you like that? Who's going to come out in the lead of this race? Well, in the lead of this battle, this is second place, ladies and gentlemen, and they're jostling and like a horse race. In fact, like the final sprint of the Tour de France. This is unbelievable. 4 cars, 1 piece of tarmac. Madbird, over to you.
I was not expecting Thomas McMillan to come out of this in second place, but he currently has, although he's about to lose it to Brody Kostecki. By the looks of it, they are bumping doors the entire way. Brody Kostecki gets a little helping hand into the hairpin by Kurt Stenberg, who then lights up his rears. Thomas McMillan down to 4th instead of 2nd, now back up to 3rd. This is Sean Allen alongside him. Kurt Stenberg now alongside Sean Allen as Thomas McMillan tries to set off after Brody Kostecki. This is going to end in tears if it hasn't already, and it looks as if they've settled themselves down to cross the line.
Yeah, just a little
My
bit.
goodness.
I mean, unfortunately, Sean Allen's lost about 3 positions out of that, but I thought he was going to lose a lot more time than he actually did. He was still in that fight for the best part of a lap after putting it in the wall in the final corner of the previous lap.
Yeah, that was a hectic lap. That was.
Yeah.
I was not expecting Thomas McMillan. When I saw Thomas McMillan getting swamped by Kurt Stenberg, Sean Allen, and Brody Kostecki, I was thinking, well, there goes his race. And he's still in 3rd place with only half a second up the road to Brody Kostecki ahead.
And now Dayne Warren has a 9-second lead. That's more than double.
He's checked out, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's put the cue in the rack.
He is. He's so far. He's back home, social isolating, while all of the. Oh goodness me! We've got Thomas Vermeulen going up the inside of Brody Kostecki. This fight is not over yet.
They were doing this during the warm-up lap, constantly bumping into each other. So let's hope this doesn't end the same way. It's just Thomas McMillan. I don't know if he's going to have a penalty coming his way after this race or something. He's been. I won't say he's been driving rude. Let's say.
Who's this? Thomas?
Yes, Thomas McMillan.
Yes.
He's been driving rude, I think, is the polite way of describing it. There's been a fair bit of door banging, let's say.
Yeah, he doesn't respect personal space, let's say, on the racetrack.
No, he's not maintaining social distancing.
But he's not going to have he's not going to have a go here, but if I know Thomas Vermeulen, nowhere is too far back to have a dive.
He's right. The front splitter of his car is suction gripped to the back of Brody Kostecki's car.
Yeah, has anyone checked?
As Brody Kostecki backs it in,
he's off the track, and he's going to lose
straight
all
off.
3
Was
spots.
was he assisted with that?
No, I don't think he was. Well, no, we're not going to go back for the replay because this is still kicking off. Kurt Stenberg's up into 2nd place. Side by side though, and it's Kurt Stenberg on the
dangerous.
outside. He's absolutely kept the throttle in. I thought he was going to have to back out, but somehow he manages to hang on. But you know Thomas is going to have a go down into 1 here, and he does. Kurt Stenberg around the outside. He'll have the inside for the next corner, and Sean Allen tries to make it 3 wide, but then slots in behind, and there's been a bit of contact there. Kurt Stenberg, Thomas Millen gets Colin Warren was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, and Zach Baker! Zach Baker straight into Colin Warwick. He's lost his front splitter. Who else we've got? We've got Kurt Stenberg recovering to the track. Oh my goodness.
So
that's
catch the
so
replay.
Kurt Stenberg is shaken out in 8th place.
So
Thomas McMillan in 4th.
What was Zach doing? Oh my goodness! It looks like he
In all
tried
the-
to go around the outside to avoid the action, but then Kurt Stenberg was trying his best to get off the track as well, and so they ended up both hitting each other, trying to get out of each other's way. So that has not ended well for either of them. So now, meanwhile, we've got an absolute tussle down at the hairpin for sick. This is all people with out front bars. We've got Luke Rosella in there trying to make the best of a bad situation. In fact, he's gone nowhere but up in this because he's still got a straight car as far as I can see, and he's up in 7th place. Brody Kostecki and Sean Allen are in 2nd and 3rd place. They've got a bit of breathing space now that Thomas McMillan leads the train of the wounded.
Yeah, Sean Allen somehow wound up in 2nd after all that, but he went deep at the hairpin and Brody Kostecki managed to sneak through.
What's that doing? I think he's got some damage.
He's missing his front splitter.
Turn
Not
1.
sure how much that would affect the the handling of the car. I'm guessing a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's rude to say, but I feel like Thomas McMillan has been kissed on the dick by the fairies to be in 4th place right now, considering all of the nonsense that's been going on in and around his car.
Yeah, I'd have to see it again to see who really was the instigator of that, but Kurt Stenberg has a right to feel aggrieved. Down in 7th place, and Colin Warwick also was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Having not seen it again, I'm currently scrubbing back through the footage desperately to try to find it. I believe that, I don't think it was Thomas McMillan. I think that Sean Allen behind them came in a bit hot and caused the initial pile-up.
Did he bump Kurt, maybe? Well, we'll have to...
Possibly. I've just found it, so I'll let you know.
And see who really was to blame. But we've got a great old battle going on for 2nd place between two of the cleaner guys, I'd say. Brody Kostecki is holding off Sean Allen, who... now we've got Colin Warwick round in the back of shot. Oh, what happened? There's been a huge crash at the exit of turn 4. Oh, my goodness. Zach Baker's involved again. Colin Warwick, I think, looped it, and then there was a bunch of other cars coming around at the same time. So let's see how that happened. And it was already kicking off before that. There was a train of 4 cars, and then Colin Warwick is going to be stationary, or not stationary, recovering from a bit of an accident of his own all by himself, and then they all came along at the wrong possible moment, Madbird.
Oh my goodness, yeah, and sorry, that particular noise was me watching the chicane as Zach Baker flew across it, seemingly having no brakes. He now has half a car, yeah.
Oh my goodness me.
He's seen better days, has Zach Baker. Yeah, my goodness. And just to confirm, that was 100% Thomas McMillan's fault. He slid into the side of Kurt Stenberg at the 2nd turn and caused the accident. Sean Allen was an innocent party that really had nowhere to go.
Well, fair enough. So Zach Baker, I commend his ability to drive a car that really is only about 75% of what it began as. Many components missing. He's doing quite well not to... if he manages to hold on to that position from Aiden Schultz and Alex Cattle behind, I think he'll consider that a race win, basically. Well, speaking of race win, Dayne Warren's actually come across the line just now to win the race, and that's all happened really rather quickly. Now, behind them, it is, of course, the Brody Kostecki and Sean Allen battle, which Brody has managed to come across the line in front of Sean Allen. So a great job on debut for Brody Kostecki. No doubting his credentials, of course, and then Sean Allen, a messy race, but he finishes on the podium. Thomas McMillan somehow manages to bring home 4th place. I don't know how on earth he's done that. Luke Rosella is coming across the line backwards in 5th place. There was some action going on. We did miss on that final lap as we were trying to cover everything that was going on. Kurt Stenberg's probably done all right to finish 6th in the end. Colin Warwick, too, with 7th place. Brody Steen, he can probably be a bit disappointed with 8th, considering how much carnage there was. He would have wanted to finish higher. And then David Nenadich in 9th, ahead of Hayden Kruger in 10th place. Zach Baker, did he finish in 11th? He did indeed, Madbird. He did. He managed to hold on to it with what is really a boat with wheels. There's not really much of a car left to call that. I don't really have other words. David Nedidich would probably be quite disappointed to finish where he started, considering his race. He was looking like a decent points finish. So I think Dayne Warren is probably the only driver really who kept their powder dry in that race. Pretty much. I mean, Brody Kostecki, I don't think he caused any issues or anything. He just he was involved just because stuff happened around him. And Sean Allen kept his nose pretty clean. He was just involved in things that weren't his doing. And Thomas McMillan, again, luckiest sod alive to finish in 4th place. With Luke Rosella, yeah, fantastic finish for Luke in 5th place. That's his second 5th place, I believe, yeah? He finished 4th in last fourth. Sorry, was his best result. I can't remember what he finished in the second race of Tasmania, but good points there for Luke Rosella. Madbird, we've left the YouTube chat alone, and it's all hell is broken loose in there. Yeah, honestly, that was an intentional decision on my particular part, because we had discussion about
we had a discussion
Someone
about
was
which
talking
Indiana.
about. Sorry, go on. Someone confused gonorrhea with diarrhea, and I said it's really.
Yeah, someone said something
rhea
about a
is-
curry.
Any rhea is not particularly welcome dinner table discussion, but anyway, that's what it is.
Someone asked, Foster Bigioli asked, do you guys prefer Harrison Ford in Star Wars, Indiana Jones, or The Fugitive? I personally prefer him in the film Blade Runner, especially the theatrical release where he spoke in a very deadpan, non-emotive fashion to narrate the story because idiot audiences didn't understand it.
I enjoyed the film 6 Days, 7 Nights, where he's stranded on an island with a woman that he doesn't like.
I was not aware of that film's existence until this very moment.
Schwimmer in it, I believe.
Our good friend Dr. Joshi saying reading any YouTube stream chat is a mistake. Stop. And Michael Zalavari, our other good friend, saying normally it's much better to be fair, which he is 100% right. Lewis Kugeley, the famous $10 owing Lewis Kugeley, has chimed in with tough.
Lewis Kugeley, who, well, I mean, you've brought up the $10. This is an ongoing battle between you two, isn't it?
I think battle implies that there's something to be won.
Oh, $10 is a lot, and that's going
Well, I
up.
suppose there's $10 to be won. Yes.
I think we need a break, man, so we recharge our batteries for
recharge our batteries
for the second part of tonight, because we've got a shootout, Madbird, coming up on the other
We do
side.
top 10 shootout, and I'm bloody hype. And I believe Stairs, did you have a little segment for us?
I most certainly did. I've managed to chat to Colin Warwick in the break. Well, actually, not in the break, because that wouldn't really be possible. In fact, we've actually waited too long, and now it's qualifying, so we're not going to go to a break. We're going to go into qualifying to set the top 10 for the top 10 shootout match.
Absolutely. I guess that's what we're doing. So we've got a few cars out on the track. We've got 13. We've got 13 and 15 seconds on the clock. We've got the track map on your screens. It strikes me, Stairs, that last little sector with like the chicane and then the sort of little dong shape heading down towards the hairpin, that reminds me quite a lot of the start finish at Adelaide.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. You're not actually going into that final, it's sort of penultimate part of the corner into the hairpin with as much pace as you do in Adelaide, because you're coming out of a very, very slow chicane. But I take your point, it does look similar.
The shape is similar.
Now 4 tyre sets, Manbird, available for each race. Now that's a little bit more of a hindrance with this race, because we've got the qualifying session, then we've got a top 10 shootout, and then a pit stop race. So those are all, well, that's at least 3 tyre sets right there if you make it to the top 10 shootout, and two sets if you have to do 2 runs in qualifying. So that would be your 4 sets. 2 in the race, 1 in the shootout, and 2 in qualifying.
Yeah, so you don't want to waste any. If you hop out of the pits and light your tyres up immediately, rip them in half, and then have to immediately put on a fresh set, then that's not something that you want to do. You want to have all 4 sets available to you, so you can use 1 in qualifying, 1 in the shootout, and then 2 in the race. Or otherwise, you're going to be putting on a used pair of boots in the race at some stage. And as someone who has a set of boots that are well and truly falling apart as I wait for Australia Post to sort their rubbish out amidst this COVID crisis and get my new boots to me, it's not good. I don't recommend it.
Who's really walking anyway at the moment as it is?
Well, I unfortunately am, because I'm still going into work.
Dr. Joshi saying we've got a very interesting segment that we're not going to show you. Haha. Well, that's classic. That's just cliffhanger marketing right there. We will show you eventually, but you've got to keep watching if you want to see it. In the meantime, we've got 10 minutes of qualifying in order to set the top 10 for the top 10 shootout.
We do indeed. Jackson Barry just in the chat saying, Lewis Kugeley, McMillan's looking good, mate. You give him advice? So I'm assuming that the advice he gave him wasn't don't pay your dues and give $10 to people that you owe $10 to, because that would be something that that Thomas McMillan wouldn't be doing if it was indeed advice that he'd received from Lewis Kugeley.
My head hurts.
I'm a whore in the chat.
All right, yes, I've read it now.
I'm a whore. I was
H-O
trying to pronounce it in such a way that it was clear that it wasn't the word that starts with a W. They can't wait to hear about the new boots. When I get them, I'll tell you about them, mate. I promise you that.
And do follow Apex Rewing on Facebook. There will no doubt be a photograph on there.
I will provide a photograph of said boots.
All right, better write that one down, Madbird, in your notebook. Who's looking good so far in qualifying? Thomas McMillan, who we've talked at length about during today's broadcast, is the benchmark at the moment. But, the benchmark that we really want to focus on is that 10th place cutoff. So currently it's RSM Latino. Now that will not stay the benchmark. His current top 10 time of a 104.7. I suspect you need to be a damn sight quicker than that to make it into the top 10 tonight.
You would expect so. You would very much expect so, considering that the times we were getting even down to 10th place were in the low 3s, I reckon. Or high 2s during the first qualifying session.
So currently got quite a few cars in the pit lanes, really taking their time. We've had 5-6 nearly minutes of this qualifying session so far, and people like Adam Zeitinger in the pits, who is in the drop zone at in 13th now. Dayne Warren set of time. He's actually on the track though. He's gone 12th ahead of Adam Zeitinger, and it looks like he's had a collision with one of the ZB cars on the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, you got 6 cars that haven't
said that tonight.
No, ZB cars at the exit of turn 4. Name a more iconic duo. We've got 6 cars that haven't set any time at all, including, of course, Dayne Warren and Luca Rosella. Although he did just set a lap time and he's up into 6th place, so straight into the top 10.
We're just trying to see if we can catch Brapp. Here we go. Brapp is on the lap. Not a quick one though. So as the director hurriedly searches for someone who is in the drop zone but on a quick lap, let's have a look at RSM Latino. He's coming across the line. Currently sat in 12th. Was in 10th a few moments ago and goes 11th. That won't be good enough, Madbird.
Dayne Warren about to set pole position, if I'm not very much mistaken. As he's coming around the last bend, and indeed goes first fastest with a 101.7.
Not too far away from what he's done in the first qualifying session. It was a 101.6 that got in pole position for race 1.
Still waiting on lap times from Matt Devine, Brody Steen, Jack Handel, Dominic Ferraris and Aidan Schultz. Of those 5, Dominic Ferraris I'd expect to see in the top 10, and maybe Brody Steen as well. As a dark horse for the lower end of the top 10. Michael Zalavari saying Madbird's having a day. What you got a problem, Michael?
Brapp, meanwhile, is on a lap, 13th currently, and coming through the chicane and lights up the rears on the exit of turn 6. Let's see what he can do. Currently in 13th, as I mentioned, and currently spinning at the hairpin, so that one's fallen apart. That's a shame. He was up by nearly 3/10 on his PB. As we cut back to RSM Latino starting a lap.
So Hayden Kruger currently the last of the shootout sitters.
Oh, he's back.
Is that a term? He's in 10th place.
You could say shootout sitters. It's very easy to miss that. Classic accent. Yeah, it's very easy to mix up those words and say something that you don't mean to say. Now we've got a lot of people aborting laps while we're on board with them, so let's stop that trend right away. See if we can find someone. You were saying Madbird?
I was just saying in the chat we've got HB111 saying pretty solid reverse entry for Brapp there, and I've got to agree, not particularly quick though.
Steve Warwick, he's 7 thousandths of a second down on his PB. He's got to find a fair bit of time to improve because he's more than a second slower than the next driver, who is Brapp. Unless he had an absolute mare on the final sector on his one flying lap. not carried much speed through the final sector. I think he's track cut, maybe backed off there. Let's see what Brody Steen can do. Yet to set a time, and therefore in the drop zone.
Dayne Warren goes faster still with a 101.3 Stairs.
Boy, that is... we're not even... You don't even need to set fast times. The reason, if you've just joined us, that we're not paying much attention to the times at the top is because we are just determining the order for the top 10. As Brody Steen cooks it at the...
That's just blisteringly quick. I'm struggling to believe that just occurred.
That is a huge lap from Dayne Warren. 101.3 is... well, let's put this into some perspective. 0.6 of a second faster than the fastest lap that we saw last year at Pukekohe. Now, we were expecting the lap record to go, let's be honest. Dayne Warren's been destroying them all through this championship, but that is something else. And around a short lap, it's only a minute. That is unbelievable. Now, Brody Steen slotted into 11th. He needs to find a bit more if he wants to be in the top 10, man.
Yeah, we've got 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, so a little bit of time. There's probably enough time for 2 or 3 more laps if you're on track at the moment, or 4 more laps even. So Aiden Schultz and Matt Devine, haven't set laps. Matt Devine's just exiting the pits now. Aiden Schultz is already out on track. Got Master Gamer 22344 saying, when you do Bathurst, will it be the full 1,000? It will indeed, unless something's changed that I'm not aware of.
It's scheduled as the full 1,000. We did one last year, and it was a terrific event. And we're hoping for some more entries this year, so absolutely looking forward to that one. It was a terrific event, and we had
it was a cracker.
We had two of the guys who were in the live chat were joining us in commentary last year, and hopefully they'll be able to do so again this year. In Michael Zalavari and Dr. Joshi, who were our shift relief, I suppose you could say, but they did a fantastic job in commentary with us, Madbird.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a very long race for us to do by ourselves, and they're both excellent commentators in their own right, so it was very nice to share the box with them. Although I never got to share it with Michael Zalavari
we'll fix that.
Due to some sort of oversight, but in payment, I instead got to embarrass myself and drop a whiteboard.
Oh, yes. That was a terrific moment. It was very loud on the broadcast. Brody Steen's
I'm aware.
it, and we haven't seen it because we're looking at Aiden Schultz to see what he can do on his first flying lap. 15th place, so Brody Steen and Aiden Schultz have got more work to do. Who else is in the cutoff? Dominic Ferraris is just out by 1/100th of a second. That's not much at all from Alex Cattle.
Alex Cattle's only just jumped up into that 10th place on the previous lap, so he's clinging on by the tips of his fingernails.
And Dominic Ferrari's currently in the pits, so he's going to have to get out in a few moments' time. But currently it's Brody Steen we're looking at, who's sat in 12th place. So together with Dominic Ferraris, we've also got Hayden Kruger, Arasim Latino, Aiden Schultz, Jack Handel, Brapp, Steve Warwick and Adam Zeitinger, who've set laps that aren't good enough. Matt Devine hasn't set a lap yet, although he is on one according to our live timing screens, if we can just find him.
Yeah, it looks like he's coming through the last sector.
Yep, coming up to the line is Matt Devine, and he goes 18th.
Coming up to the line is Matt Devine.
Very good.
Beautiful.
So Brody Steen, he's found 4/10 this time. He's really on it, and that will jump him up into the top 10 as long as the goalposts don't move. And I think they might have. Dominic Ferraris is being dropped down by. No, sorry, he was already down in 10th. I saw the timing screen glitch, and I wasn't sure exactly. Oh. But it's Brody Steen who displaces Alex Cattle to get into the top 10. So it's very, very tight there. 1.29 seconds off the time set by Dayne Warren, which is that's really nothing to sneeze at. The gap between Dayne Warren and Thomas McMillan is 0.7 of a second, and then the gap between Thomas McMillan and Brody Steen is 0.7 of a second. So
yeah, it's not huge.
Yeah, but my point is that there's more people in between Thomas McMillan. Like the gap 0.7 back from Thomas McMillan to 10th place is the same as the gap from Thomas McMillan to Dayne Warren.
Up to Dayne Warren, yeah. Just goes to show how big an advantage Dayne Warren has. Although, as you said, you don't really want to shoot your wad during this particular qualifying session. If you've only got one gold lap, you want to save that for the shootout.
Alex Cattle, we're just looking at getting it all sideways off the curb. He's got to improve, but I don't think he's going to on this lap. He might have one more opportunity if he's got the fuel on board.
It looks as if David Nededic and Brapp were both just lurking there in the runoff from the chicane to start their own last hurrah laps.
We've got a lot of people.
And Alex Cattle coming into the pits, so electing not to try to push for that shootout spot, as is David Nededic.
Might not have had the fuel. Aiden Schultz doesn't look like he's got the fuel left. The time is ticking, so you've got to be on a lap now if you're going to make any improvements. So we may well have already set our top 10 because there aren't too many people left setting times. Brapp has just started a lap. He may well be the last guy to cross the line. He's currently sat in 17th, so he's got a lot of work to do to catch up. He's got to find 1.5 seconds. He's up by 0.2, but he's backed out of it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it was on from the beginning. And that, I believe, is it. The only one still out there is Colin Warwick, who can only improve within the top 10. He can't go any higher than the top 10, and indeed he does improve up to 5th place. And apart from that, everyone else is either finished or in the pit stairs. So we have our top 10.
And that top 10 is Dayne Warren, Thomas McMillan, Sean Allen, Brody Kostecki, who's racing under the number 1, Colin Warwick, Kurt Stenberg, Zach Baker, Luke Brazilla, Brody Steen, and David Nenadic will contest the top 10 shootout, Madbird.
Yeah, so it was a pretty late move there, I think, for David Nenadic to get up into that 10th place, because Alex Cattle was holding it down until the death. And unlucky there for Alex Cattle, Dominic Ferraris to lose out. They were both sitting in 10th at some stage during the qualifying session, as was Brody Steen, who, now that I'm thinking about it, Brody Steen might have actually improved and pushed David Nededic down, because I believe Brody Steen was sitting in 10th at one stage.
He was, but coming 10th, or being in 10th, is very much a dangerous prospect, as you can very easily get knocked out. And that has happened to Brody Steen. So we now are waiting with anticipation of the start of this shootout, and it'll be David Nenadic first on track to set his lap. We've got 30 minutes allotted. We shouldn't need that because it's a short lap. And it looks like there is movement in the pit lane. David Nenadic coming to the exit of the pits.
He's waiting for that light to go green. It's currently red, and red traditionally means stop.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And thank goodness it is traditional, because if it was different from one country to the next, there would be all sorts of chaos when travelling internationally, although that wouldn't be too much of a problem in today's climate. But
Indeed. I do remember Stairs in an MSN conversation a long time ago. That's always a dangerous way to start an anecdote, isn't it? Discussing odd cars. And there was one that I believe you told me about, that instead of having brake lights, it had little traffic lights. So when it was on the brakes, they'd be red, and when it was not on the brakes but not on the accelerator, it would be orange. And then when it was accelerating, it would be green. And I can't think of anything worse.
Did you ever watch that clip of I think it's that show in the UK, Shark Tank, where people come to their investors with horrible
They've
inventions?
got their inventions or whatever, yeah.
They're usually bad. Sometimes they're good inventions, but every now and then there's a pretty bad one. And there was a guy who wanted to put some sort of lighting system on one-way street signs, and the whole thing fell apart in front of his eyes. If you ever wanted to see a man die inside, that's what it looks like.
I'll have to look it up. What would I even search for? One-way sign, Shark Tank, yeah.
Yeah, together with the guy who made some sort of thing that condensed water out of the air. It was one of the worst inventions I've ever seen. But anyway, I digress. David Nededic is about to start his shootout lap, Madbird.
He is indeed. He's crossed the line straight into that first corner. Nice and fast, nice and all over that curb. These curbs, however, you don't want to be all over. He's done that quite well, actually. He took the first one a little bit dramatically, but tightened it up for the second part of the chicane, and he's off down the back straight stairs.
Clean lap so far from David Nededic.
It's already half over. We've gone from Simmons Plains, which isn't a particularly long lap, to Pukekohe, which is a very slightly longer lap.
Yeah, we're off to Barbagallo next, which isn't really that much longer. Up to the hairpin for David Nedovich. Oh, he's got the rears all locked up on the entry there, manages to gather it up, but he would have lost a bit of time at the hairpin. And just a couple more corners now for David Nedovich to set the first benchmark in this qualifying shootout.
It always looks dramatic when they're going over that crest coming into the last corner. It looks like they've flown off the track or something, but of course they haven't. 1:02.9 for David Nedovich, so not a terrible time, but probably lost a few tenths there at the hairpin when he got the back out a little bit.
The time's on the board. He can do no worse than 10th, and he may well do better than that. Brody Steen is now the next runner in the shootout for Race on Oz in the Mustang.
Yeah, so Race on Oz splitting their difference. They've got a Mustang and they've got a Holden Commodore. Sean Allen, of course, being in the Commodore, and Brody Steen, as we see, in the Mustang. Much cleaner through the chicane there compared to David Nedovich on the previous lap.
Oh, he's up by 3/10 nearly, Brody Steen. Good first sector for him. And let's see if he carried a lot of speed out of turn 4. He didn't trouble the apex, but that may well be to his advantage. I don't know if that's going to give him the straight line speed down this main straight or not. We'll find out when he gets to the next sector split. And of course, we saw David Nedovich threw a lot of time away here. It's actually lost time, so that wide exit of turn 4 probably did cost Brody Steen there, but I would expect him to claw back some time in this final sector where David Nedovich locked up the rears at the hairpin.
Yeah, I would expect they're probably going to come out around even, I would expect, assuming that their last sectors are about the same. He's crossing the line now, and he's actually slower. 3-1 from Brody Steen, so David Nedovich already up one position.
Yeah, he pulled back a little bit of time, but really not much, so perhaps he was a little bit circumspect, seeing, well, he wouldn't have seen what David Nedovich did at the hairpin because he was on his outlap at that point, but, well, what can Luke Rosella do?
What can he do? What he can't do, but what our viewers can do, and as Michael Zalavari's reminded us in the chat, you can head over to rsmclanau.liveraces.com if you want to follow along with the timing for the shootout, see their sectors as they go through them, or a couple of seconds later, I think. There's a bit of a delay for live races, but it's as close to live as you're probably going to get. And thank you very much, Michael, for reminding us of that. Luke Rosella up a 10th through the first sector.
Yeah, it was a nice line out of 4 there. A little bit different to Brody Steen. He got it hooked up in the camber of the corner, and that should give him a good, a little bit of straight line speed down that main straight. Into the hairpin, he's absolutely dancing on the limit there. You can see it trying to get away for him under the acceleration.
A little bit of a wiggle.
3,000's down, so he's lost a 10th or 2 through there, and that's mighty tight. Now this is compared to David Nedovich, who we did see lock the rears at the hairpin, so this may well prove that Luke Rosella is going to go into provisional pole position. Let's see what it is as he comes across the line. It's a little bit further on than I thought it was. Here it is, 1:02.6, and Luke Rosella takes provisional pole by 0.3 of a second. That's what we're expecting.
That is indeed what we were expecting. Zach Baker now in the ZB Racing Mustang with that leader racing livery coming, or leader food for you, sorry, coming through.
It's not important.
Across the start finish line.
Them, probably.
Very important. We've also got a bit of discussion in the chat to saying a lot of short races in V8 supercars. Pukekohe, Barbagallo, Hidden Valley, Simmons, Sandown. No.
Sorry to cut across you there, Madbird, but that is all gone. That's all gone to something in a blink of an eye for Zach Baker. That's not going to be the fastest lap of this.
It was all looking so promising, and now it's not. To quote,
you know, I looked up and I saw him
the stairsism
making a hash of that first corner, and he's gone wide here. He's really just finishing the lap now to post a time. Anyone who gets a track cut will be behind him, but I think Zach Baker's going to go quite easily into 4th place. in this qualifying
emphatically
session. And he
into
will
fourth
be
place.
disappointed with that.
He will be, yeah. It's one of those things. We talk about this every shootout, that you need to walk that balance of being as quick as you can, but also you want to leave something on the table, because if you get a track cut or if you crash, it's your one opportunity gone and you're down into 10th place. So risk versus reward, as Scafey would say, says Hands B in the chat, another of our resident commentators. So
He's changed his name on Facebook, on YouTube.
Has he?
Yeah, he's usually something HB111, I think. Anyway, we've got defending champion Kurt Stenberg about to start a lap. Let's see if he can make something of a little bit less of a dog's Weet-Bix of it.
to put it lightly, he's negotiating the first corner currently and has done it quite well. Into the second corner, a little bit of two wheels, a little bit of lockup, but he looks like he's held quite a bit of time.
He's up.
Held quite a bit of speed, sorry, through that, and he is up by 1.5 tenths.
Yeah, now how much straight line speed has he got on that ZB Commodore? The Trans-Tasman Racing #1 into this very, very important braking zone, as we get a little bit of a glitchy frame rate there, but the line looked pretty good from me, from my point of view. Now into the hairpin, and he's up again. And he's found another 10th of a second or so, Madbird.
Yeah, 2.5 tenths at the moment for Kurt Stenberg, so looking like provisional pole for himself. Assuming that he carries that home, that lap time is looking to be about a 2.4 or thereabouts, 2.3 perhaps, which is probably a bit slower than I'd be expecting to see from him, but a 2.2 in fact,
yeah,
so up by
again.
4 tenths.
Yep, second burst, same as the first, and Kurt Stenberg is up by nearly 4 tenths of a second. Colin Warwick, who qualified ahead of him in the qualifying session to get into the shootout. Let's see what he can do on his shootout lap.
It's been a good bit of a good tussle between the two admins in the first race for a little while, until it all kind of went to pot. So it'd be nice if we got a repeat in race 2.
Went to gonorrhea, as one of our live chat participants said.
Pardon me?
Never mind. It was a callback to one of our live chat participants confusing gonorrhea with diarrhea. Colin Warwick has matched Kurt Stenberg to the first sector to the thousandths of a second, so that really backs up what you were saying, Madbird, about this admin battle that's going on between the two.
It was. He must have been slower at some decimal place because it was red instead of green, but it was close enough that it even 3 decimal places wasn't enough to shake it off 0. So bloody close between the two. He has lost time there in the second sector though.
Yes, so he's robbed Peter to pay Paul, and maybe he should have robbed Paul to pay Peter, but we'll find out who was the beneficiary in the final sector out of Colin Warwick and Kurt Stenberg. And a little bit wide. No, he's actually done the same line as Kurt Stenberg there, carrying so much speed through that final corner, and he's ended up a long way down. So he's ended up in 3rd place. So Luke Rosella splits the two admins, Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick. And Colin Warwick will be starting no better than 3rd place. Our next driver, Madbird, is Kurt Kostecki.
Brody Kostecki, even.
Sorry, Brody Kostecki, beg your pardon.
As he's coming through it's okay. The only reason that I know is because I wrote it down because I knew I'd forget it because his name isn't on the screen.
He does have a brother named Kurt. It's not me confusing him with Kurt Stenberg.
Oh, see, you're not as stupid as I thought.
Yeah, well, only marginally, but it's pretty good so far from Brody Kostecki. He's up by a 10th of a second on Kurt Stenberg.
Yes, and who knows how much faster he would be than his brother Kurt Kostecki, were he here. What an alliterative name, I love that, Kurt Kostecki. As he's coming into the chicane.
First time anyone's ever said that. But it's a good line through the chicane. This is clean stuff from Brody Kostecki. A little bit of wheel spin on the exit, but just enough, I think. He's feeling the limits of that car, and look at the time. 0.2 of a second. It agrees with him, Madbird.
It does. It agrees with him indeed. So
we're looking at a sub 102.
It's going to be quick. we have, for a second there, I thought that we had lost Dayne Warren from the server, but we haven't. That was a
Ooh, he's lost
unnecessary fright.
But number 1 goes to number 1, and that is Brody Kostecki. Provisional pole position for him.
Sean Allen next on the track. He's currently coming down to the hairpin. And what can he do? Can he keep himself up at the pointy end of the grid for the race start and continue his decent run of form from the last 2 races? It's been a season to forget before the last 2 races for Sean Allen, so maybe he wants to remember the rest of it.
Well, he's definitely had the pace, and this was no exception. Last year, he did it pretty well at Pukekohe, and I think he mentioned in his post-race interview last round that he was very much looking forward to this race, had a good groove. Well, he gets it up on 2 wheels, and he would have had to wait an age to get back on the throttle. He's already down a 1/10 of a second, is Sean Allen, so that's not good news.
No, that was a very messy. That was a very messy turns 3 and 4. Turns 2 and 3. It hasn't done him any favours whatsoever.
Yeah, he's just a little bit too aggressive on the curves. I think it might be costing him a little bit of time. Let's see what the second sector split says as he comes up to it. It is 3/10 of a second, so that's down around 3rd place. Probably just ahead of Luke Rosella if he can get a clean final sector in.
Yeah, there's a bit of a gulf there between Luke Rosella and Kurt Stenberg for him to slot into. It looks like it's been a pretty clean last sector. And indeed, slots into 3rd place.
3rd place. Now
2/10 exactly behind Kurt Stenberg.
Now the last runner in this shootout is supposed to be Dayne Warren, but he's still in the garage.
No, Thomas McMillan is currently on track.
Beg your pardon, I'm a complete numpty.
Well, at least you admit it. In the chat, we've got some fantastic stuff going on. Master Gamer 2234 saying, Michael Zavalari, what are your thoughts on Joe? Michael Zavalari says, Joe who? Master Gamer 2234 says, it's a joke in Joe Mama. Fantastic. Thomas McMillan going through the 2nd and 3rd corners not very cleanly.
Yep.
Probably about the same as Sean Allen.
I think he ran over the crickets that were just chirping before when you mentioned that joke. But very, 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 very tight between Thomas McMillan and Kurt Stenberg based on those times.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be up there in those top... It looked as if he went a little bit deep there, was possibly a little bit slow or soft on the brakes. Went a little bit deep. He's clawed a bit of time back, though.
He must have had a lot of straight line speed, carried a fair bit of momentum into that chicane. It looked like he lost time, but maybe even though he was taking the long way around, he had the speed. So the final sector is going to be the tiebreaker between Brody Kostecki and Thomas McMillan. And can Thomas do it? Oh, he's all sorts of sideways out the final corner to the line, and he misses out by the smallest of margins.
That is that was much closer than I was expecting it to be. Under half a 1/10 between between Thomas McMillan and Brody Kostecki. Now I'm the one getting Kurt's confused. Dayne Warren.
Yeah, my apologies to Dayne Warren fans. He is on track. He hasn't missed his slot in qualifying.
No, he hasn't. He's most assuredly out there. And most assuredly the favourite for pole position, I would expect, Stairs.
Do you think the pressure's on him because he's got this 100% record that he wants to keep intact?
100% yes. Do I think that it bothers him in any way, shape or form? 100% no. However, he is down through the 1st sector, but that's not really a particularly useful metric to use, I don't think, because that 1st sector is basically a very long sweeping corner and an awkward chicane.
Yeah, but quite a technical corner, lots of bumps there. You got to get your line right, and having said that, it is a short run to turn 2, so getting that right doesn't necessarily net you as much as the exit of turn 4. Look at that though, the sector times speak for themselves for Dayne Warren. He's up by a 1/10 and a half, so he's absolutely demolished the opposition through the middle sector.
He has. That back chicane is a lot more telling on time, I think, than the start chicane. He's all out on the grass, but completely under control as he crosses the line with a 4/10 advantage to take home his 8th pole position thus far of the championship stairs.
Unbelievably consistent, Dayne Warren. That was actually quite a banker lap, a consistent lap, conservative lap, I should say, for Dayne Warren.
4/10 slower than what he set in qualifying.
Well, that's enough, and he takes pole position. He'll have Brody Kostecki alongside him on the front row.
We've got Brappo970, which I'm assuming is Brap in the chat, just saying nerf Warren, please. Which I can 100% understand. And we've got Michael Zalavari also saying, while Dayne Warren was on his hot lap, saying, imagine losing a 100% pole record to the wildcard actual V8 Supercars driver.
Yeah, it's certainly nothing to be ashamed of. We're going to get our break in this time before the race gets underway, and we're going to have a little bit of a chat about penalties.
Today we're going to talk about what happens when you're a little bit naughty in the Automobilista Supercars Championship and you have to get put in the sin bin. Most penalties are applied post-race as a points penalty coming off your total points, or as a grid drop, so you start the next round a little bit lower than where you qualify. Now those are applied by the stewards who look at all the incidents that get reported after the race so that they can have a measured approach to whatever penalty may be suitable. Now the exceptions to that are pit lane penalties, which are applied by the game, usually for things like speeding in the pit lane, jumping the start, or excessive track cuts. Now those can't be reversed because they are correctly applied penalties. Wrongful penalties can sometimes occur during the safety car period on restarts, for example, and for that purpose we have a live steward to clear all wrongful penalties. Now with that in mind, let's talk about the types of points penalties that you can get for on-track indiscretions. So we've got minor, standard or major incidents where the driver is deemed to be at fault. For a minor incident, we've got a penalty of 10 to 15 points. For a standard incident, we've got a 35-point penalty or a 10-place grid drop for the following round. And then in the case of a major incident, 50 points. That's quite a lot. 50-point penalty or exclusion from qualifying at the next round, meaning you would be starting the next race from the back of the grid. Now, deliberate wrecking or extremely reckless driving is very much frowned upon. So in that case, we've got a two-strike system. So for a first offence there, that would be a round ban. And then if you were to do that again, having already served a punishment the first time around, the second time would incur a series ban. So that's very much discouraged, deliberate wrecking or extremely reckless driving. Now typing unnecessary or abusive text in the game chat, that incurs a 50 points penalty. Now that's because it's quite distracting if you're doing that, so especially during qualifying, you don't want unnecessary text coming up on your screen. So that's banned, and so that's why there's a 50-point penalty for that. Speeding in the pit lane, now this is for practice and qualifying sessions because the game will give you a drive-through for doing that in the race, but during official sessions, that is a 5-point penalty, bit of a slap on the wrist. Same for unauthorized headlight use, that is a 5-point penalty, and that is per lap. So any time that you're using your headlights and you're not allowed to, you incur a 5-point penalty per lap that you've used it. So you've done it 10 laps in a row, that's 50 points. Can add up pretty quickly. Authorized headlight use is for things such as being on a qualifying hot lap, if you're leading the race, or if you're lapping drivers during the middle of a race. That is authorized headlight use. Contact in the pit lane, that's a 35-point penalty. Entering the fast lane of a pit lane before the red light goes out in official sessions, that is a 5-point penalty. And then we've got reckless and stupid behavior. So that's things like trying to bring out the safety car, intentionally wrecking. Those sorts of things are very much frowned upon. So again, we've got a little bit like this one, we've got a strike system. In this case, 3 strikes and you're out. We've got a qualifying exclusion as your first offence. If you do it again, you're banned from a race, so you get a race ban for that one. And then a third offence there, you've already been warned twice, you've been punished twice, that would be a series ban. And those are all the ways that you can get in trouble probably not an exhaustive list, but all the ways you can get in trouble in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much, Stairs. We are here with warm-up before the second race. Dayne Warren, if you missed it, viewers, with a emphatic first place during the shootout. And wildcard / actual professional Brody Kostecki sharing the front row with him, Stairs.
Yeah, barely had any time to get the game installed, as you can tell, because he's called himself 1 on the game, as you can see on the live timing at the top of your screen. But he's clearly getting to grips with this game very, very quickly, and that's what all the pros are good at doing.
That's right. If you're Dayne Warren, do you have a little bit of a big head at the moment that you're currently outperforming a professional?
Well, that is something that maybe could be the case, but we're seeing a lot of this in E-Series across the world, where we've got actual sim racers racing with real-life race drivers, and the real-life drivers are sort of saying, oh, it's nothing like the real thing. I haven't got the feel in the tyres, I haven't got the seat of the pants feel, and the sim racers are just like, I know how to be fast in this game, and they just get the job done.
And obviously, I'd like to think that there's some overlap, as we see some tyres behaving very strangely.
Overlapping with tame.
I would like to think there's some overlap in the skills, but I imagine it is a very, very, very different experience when you're actually in that sweltering cockpit, charging up Mountain Straight, and your cool suit isn't working, and your tires are tugging in the wrong direction, and all various other things. It's an optimal environment, let's say, is sim racing.
Yes. Anything goes wrong, you can just reset and start again. Let's have a look at the details for race 2 tonight. It is the longer of the 2 races, and we will be having a pit stop. Now, we've got the fuel usage set at ×2 for this 35 lap race. So the fuel usage is around about 2.9 litres per lap. So that puts a pit window at somewhere between 7 and 27. That's quite a wide window. But in previous races, we've seen people trying to make it to around about the sort of 55-60% mark of the race, and then fill up just over half a tank to get to the end. That seems to be the preferred strategy and the winning strategy.
Yeah, it's not too many people trying to take the gamble to pit early and take a bigger whack of fuel, but perhaps undercut some of their competition. Doesn't seem to have worked out, so it seems to be the prevailing strategy, as you said, pit about halfway or just after, and bring it home from there. But we've ticked over into the race session, so any second now we will be getting all of our drivers on the grid.
Yeah, just waiting for them to grid up. Of course, there is about a 50-second time between the session ticking over and the start of the warm-up lap, and so they have to they've basically got until the end of that 50 seconds to grid up, and it looks like most of them have now done so. And it'll be Dayne Warren on pole on the right-hand side from Brody Kostecki.
Has Dayne Warren not won a race so far this season?
He didn't win the first race of the series, which was won by his brother Ethan Warren.
That's right.
Mainly, I believe it was because of a penalty in the pits that Dayne Warren got. So it was really the only blemish to his copybook. Manbird, do you want to take us through the grid?
Absolutely. So Dayne Warren, as we were speaking about, with his 8th consecutive pole positions, so bloody excellent from Dayne Warren. Brody Kostecki, real-life professional, in 2nd place. He's got very little time to get to grips with the game, but he seems to be all over it like, the proverbial. Thomas McMillan in 3rd place. Very solid, consistent results from him so far tonight. In terms of qualifying anyway. Let's see if he can keep his nose clean in the race. Kurt Stenberg. Speaking of keeping noses clean.
It's one of the...
I think that's Alex Cattle.
Alex Cattle in the race on Oscar, beg your pardon.
We'll get to him, I guess. Kurt Stenberg in 4th place, hoping for probably a better result. Sean Allen in 5th, not where he would want to be starting. We've got Luke Rosella starting in 6th, which is quite good for him. Colin Warwick in 7th, David Neddish in 8th, with his teammate Zach Baker not actually behind him, but behind him on track. Brody Steen is meant to be between those two cars for Race on Oz, and Zach Baker then in 10th place in the ZB Racing Mustang. Adam Zeitinger in 11th place. Brap, the wild card from Super 2, in 12th. Alex Cattle in 13th, so he's still got a couple of places to make up there. That he's out of position slightly, let's say. Jack Handel in 14th place. Aidan Schultz in 15th, and we've got
that's Ferraris, Dominic
Ferraris, I believe, yeah.
Got some
So
time.
Aidan Schultz in 15th, Matt Devine in 16th. They're making me work for it, aren't they? Dominic Ferraris in 17th, quickly catching up following his bingle there at the hairpin. Steve Warwick, father of the men-footed Colin Warwick, in 18th place. RSM Latino, another call-up from Super 2 in 19th. And Hayden Kruger rounds out our 20 races for the second race here at Pukekohe Stairs.
Yeah, a few people have made second-hand work of their tyres already, so they might opt for the early pit stop, man bird.
Could do. Yeah, it looks as if they've sort of torn strips off them, but we're all lined up on the grid, and I'm expecting the lights any second now, but someone might not be. Nope. I think we're ready to go.
All right, let's get the lights to start the second race here in Pukekohe. Dayne Warren on the right, Brody Kostecki on the left. I've done it. Dayne Warren's got a drive-through penalty immediately. Jumped the start apparently, so that is unbelievable. Thomas McMillan's leapt to second place, but Kurt Stenberg might have something to say about that. What a horrible start for Brody Kostecki. In behind it, side by side, Luke Rosella and Sean Allen. But look at that, Dayne Warren's got to try and make hay here because he has to take a tour of the pit lane.
Thomas McMillan getting swamped. He's got Brody Kostecki and Kurt Stenberg. They're 3 wide. Never mind, Thomas McMillan's actually behind them, but he goes tries to go for the inside slipstream behind Kurt Stenberg. I hope this doesn't end in tears at the chicane. It doesn't. They seem to all be clean.
Deep.
Brody
Brody's
Kostecki
gone deep, I should say.
It was a messy start for the ZB Racing guys as well. David Neddish just didn't go anywhere, and Zach Baker, who was right behind him, straight into the back of him. It looks as if they haven't got any damage out of it, but they have lost a lot of positions. It's funny that we were talking about if Dayne Warren had won every race, and we said no, he didn't win the first one because he had a penalty. Perhaps this will be the second race that he doesn't win because of a penalty stairs.
He's 2.5 seconds after one lap in the lead, so I reckon he's got the pace to win this despite taking an extra trip through the pit lane. Look at this. This is Brody Kostecki going down the inside, but Kurt Stenberg is going to have the inside. They go side by side. Here, there's door-to-door contact. Thomas McMillan's got his nose in there and gets up alongside Kurt Stenberg, and they'll drag all the way down this back straight behind Brody Kostecki. Look at the train. Brody goes to the inside. Kurt follows in his wheel tracks, tries to go around the outside. This is a very sharp hairpin chicane, I should say, coming up, and they're going to go once again sideways through the corner, side by side. Thomas McMillan, a little bit of Morse code on the back of the Trans-Tasman car of Kurt Stenberg, and Dayne Warren out to 3.6 seconds.
I saw the smoke from Dayne Warren's tyres, and I thought that he'd spun it.
I did too.
Just a bit of a lock-up, I think. But Thomas McMillan has got to be frustrated. He looked like he was going to have that second place done and dusted on that first lap, but he went a little bit deep at turn 4 and let Kurt Stenberg and Brody Kostecki through. And now he's just trying to get back ahead, get back in touch with them, as Sean Allen is probably keeping a watching brief on these 3 in front, knowing that last race, when Thomas McMillan, Kurt Stenberg and Brody Kostecki all met on track, it ended in disaster. Absolutely.
Now, 4 seconds after just 2 laps completed, Dayne Warren leads this race, but he has to make a drive-through penalty. And, well, based on our numbers, the pit transit time is around about 28 seconds. So that's how much he's going to lose trundling along the pit lane at 40 kilometres an hour, which would currently put him dead last. We've had Dominic Ferrari's already DNF'd the race, so unfortunately we saw him spinning on the warm-up lap. And it's not been a great night for him. He has had pace this year, but certainly hasn't been able to convert tonight.
Dayne Warren definitely not doing his tyres any favour. There's always smoke at that hairpin. He's tearing the time out of them while he's got them, I suppose. We've got Matt Cecil in the chat just saying, echoing what you were saying, Stairs. 2 laps down and Dayne Warren is already ahead by 4 seconds. What the actual hell? That's crazy. It is. But for those first 2 laps, Kurt Stenberg and Brody Kostecki were fighting tooth and nail over that second place. So
they were door to door almost through the whole lap, Madbird. So
that would have been helping him profusely. Thomas McMillan's gotten through on Kurt Stenberg at some stage.
Yeah, just
into
on
third place.
Start of the previous, this current lap that they're on, I should say, they were going side by side, and so Thomas McMillan got the job done, which has allowed a little bit of breathing space to Brody Kostecki, who is in second place, 4 seconds adrift. Keep an eye on Dayne Warren here to see if he dives into the pit lane. He may have 1 more lap left before he has to take that drive-through penalty, assuming, of course, that it hasn't been cleared by our live steward. But I can't imagine why.
I reckon that I mean, if I'm a car happens to be in the chat and wants to let us know, that would be lovely. I don't think it's going to be the time loss isn't going to be the problem for Dayne Warren. I don't think. I think he'd easily catch 28 seconds up over the course of the race. It would be the back markers that he's going to have to side his way through are going to be the problem.
But if there was ever a time to get a penalty, it would be on the first lap of the longest race of the night.
That's a very good point, and well made.
I do try. So, Dayne Warren is...
And you do succeed.
Sometimes. Dayne Warren is coming up to the hairpin, so we'll see if he comes in on this lap in a few moments' time. Meanwhile, it is closing up behind him. So
he is coming in. So
comes out.
So at the moment, 24 seconds back to 19th place man RSM Latino. So by those numbers, he will come out dead last.
Look at this.
And he will have quite a few cars to overtake.
Painful for Dayne Warren. Look at them all streaming past. Doesn't take long for the entire field to overtake. So now that is Brody Kostecki into the lead of the race and Thomas McMillan in second. Kurt Stenberg,
he's closed that up, Thomas McMillan.
He certainly has. He absolutely has. And I reckon now that this is for the lead, he's going to try just that little bit harder. Dayne Warren is still inching his way through the pit lane, just coming to the exit about now. There he is, just coming into shot. So he's behind RSM Latino by about 7 or 8 seconds. That is huge.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time to claw back. I don't doubt that he can do it, but can he do it well enough to end up at the top of the podium? I just don't see it happening, unfortunately for him. I guess that's my own fault for bringing up whether he's won every race so far this season or not. I put the moz on him immediately.
Well, it's going to make it interesting for us, isn't it? See how far he sides his way up through the field.
It is. It's usually Jake Maloney doing that, and in the absence of Jake Maloney, perhaps Dayne Warren's gone, well, I'll give you guys a show instead. Thomas McMillan looked like he was going to have a go down the inside of turn 1, which is always going to end in tears, but he's managed to back out of it. But he's right on the back of Brody Kostecki. He has got so much more pace, I think, in this car. He's just not able to get past, but along this long back straight into the into the chicane, I reckon he might have a go down the inside. Kostecki's not covering off the inside. Thomas McMillan looked like he was going to have a go for it, but then thought better of it. And he just slots in behind him, bides his time.
Oh, Kostecki got a little bit wiggly on the curb on the exit there. I think that Kostecki's got a fair bit of confidence under brakes here because he didn't feel the need to cover Thomas McMillan there.
Michael Zalavari in the chat saying, watch Madbird be wrong and Dayne coming back to win. Shut up, Michael. Oh, very wiggly there from Brody Kostecki going over that crest. Coming into the last
you're
corner.
telling to shut up.
Yeah, no, I'm joking, Michael, but my goodness. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I would be, if you know what I mean. Thomas McMillan. Oh, Brody!
Brody's got it all sorts of out of shape across the chicane there, and somehow manages to hang on to the lead. Thomas McMillan is all over him like a cheap suit, and Kostecki, that was a real clenching moment.
That was very, very well held. He goes to the inside now, although he sort of sweeps back to the racing line. So never mind, he was just following the racing line, if I'm not mistaken. Thomas McMillan all over the back of him, tapping on his rear. I don't think that was any interference from Thomas McMillan that caused that at the first chicane. I think it was just Brody Kostecki going in a bit heavy. Speaking of going in a bit heavy, Thomas McMillan locking up his rears as he nearly takes out Brody at the hairpin.
Yeah, we don't want to see these guys take each other out. This is an absolutely scintillating battle. Let's hope it continues like that for the rest of the evening. We've also got the question of when they take their pit stops. The pit window has just opened.
It has. We're not even a third of the way through the race yet, so I wouldn't be expecting to see anyone coming in just yet. What was the window we believed, Stez? Laps 9 through
through to 27, in fact. So
they could have. It's a wide window.
It's a very wide window. You wouldn't expect them to pit that late because of the tyres.
Panoramic window.
Dayne Warren's just gone very wide on our other screen through the final corner. He's made one position up. He's past RSM Latino, who appears to have a bit of damage. That's wide there for Kostecki, and behind they're all closing up. It's Kurt Stenberg doing a great job.
Oh, no!
Sean Allen, Thomas McMillan has got it all lit up on the exit of turn number 7 there. And I don't know if he got a helping hand or whether he's done that all by himself, but Thomas McMillan drops back to 4th.
He's shortcutted that hairpin fairly significantly when recovering to the track, but he obviously has still lost positions. So, but he's got to be dirty in that cockpit, Thomas McMillan. He was all over the back of Kostecki and just was not able to find a way past, and then just a little mess up by himself has dropped him 3 positions. Although, considering how close Kostecki, Kurt, and Sean Allen currently are, they could all come to tears and Thomas McMillan swoop on through.
Dayne Warren's got a bit of traffic. He's caught up to the back of Jack Handel there, and it was so slow through that final corner that he's bumped into the back of him. No harm done, I should think, as he makes his way up into 17th place. The recovery continues for Dayne Warren as Kostecki now comes under renewed pressure from Kurt Stenberg. Sean Allen's just a few car lengths behind, and Thomas McMillan recovering from a spin. Kurt Stenberg's chucked it down the inside. Kostecki's gone wide on the outside. They both struggle to get the power down, and it's a drag race to the next corner for which Kostecki has the inside. But if Kurt can hang in there, he'll have the inside for the next corner, but he's managed not to do so, and he slots in behind. He's fighting hard for the win here.
Yeah, absolutely. He can smell the best opportunity he has had this season for a win. He's had, by his own admission, a pretty bad season so far with that number 1, which he believes is unlucky. And Brody Kostecki just, I don't know how he's managing to take that particular line through that chicane and come out of it still in the lead, but he's done it twice now. Although Kurt Stenberg might have something to say about that. He's down the inside as they go through this long sweeping corner down into the chicane. He's well and truly alongside. He squiggles under braking, and it looks like Sean Allen was trying to dive down the inside. That was a little bit ambitious, maybe. But Kurt Stenberg looks as if he's come out on top as they head on down towards the hairpin. He's definitely got the inside line, and he is well and truly ahead of Brody Kostecki. Sean Allen, though, might want to take that second place away from Brody Kostecki. They are side by side coming into the last corner, and Sean Allen slots in behind, takes that third place.
He wouldn't dive down here. I would imagine someone like Thomas McMillan might, but Sean Allen's got a fairly sensible head on his shoulders there. Not to say that Thomas doesn't, but sometimes he forgets he does. And
Good point from... No, sorry, go ahead.
Kurt Stenberg leads the way. These guys are all taking time off each other because they sense a chance of the win. And Kostecki's round, and he loses 2 spots. He loops it round, tries to find a gap
3, 4, 5, 6, 7
it's
spots.
all falling apart for Kurt. Brody Kostecki is out of this race.
Oh no, that is a damn shame here. That was looking like an absolute Titanic scrap for the rest of this race, but unfortunately just one little error. He couldn't have taken that chicane the way he did any more times. He used his luck up, and as I was going to say, a good point from Michael Zalavari saying probably already had his 3 track cuts. Perhaps he was going to get a penalty if he continued on like that for much longer, but he has taken himself out of this race. DNF for Brody Kostecki in race 2, but what a 12 laps he's raced so far.
Stenberg's around, out of the lead of the race, spins on the final corner. He keeps it out of the wall, but now he's going to find somewhere safe, and he's going to come out in front of the ZB guys. Very, very unfortunate spin for Kurt Stenberg. The curse of the leader strikes again.
Absolutely. So we've got Sean Allen. He's next on the chopping block, apparently, with Thomas McMillan probably thinking that all of his Christmases have come at once. He was in 4th at this time last lap. He is now in 2nd place. with only Sean Allen ahead of him between him and a provisional podium, or provisional win. Half a second between himself and Sean Allen, and I would say he seems to have a bit more pace than Sean Allen. If he can just manage to get past the car, I reckon he would be able to pull out ahead.
Well, Matt Cecil in the chat says, I'd like to see a new winner, but Dayne has a stupid fast car. In fairness, he probably has a stupid fast driver, and it does not happen that often that Dayne Warren makes a mistake like he has in this race, and the rest are trying to seize on the opportunity to take victory when otherwise it might not be possible for them, and they're just making a mistake at the crucial time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like one of those races in Formula One where both the Mercedes crash out on lap 1 or something, and every other team just sort of, you see their hairs all prick up, and they go, well, Christ, which of us is going to walk away with the win that usually would be all Mercedes. Thomas McMillan down the inside at the back chicane, well and truly alongside. Well done. A little bit of a bump there against Sean Allen. Sean Allen maintains the lead, but Thomas McMillan tries to swap up the inside. I think he's done it successfully. He's ahead as he dips tyres in the grass.
Yeah, he won't
into
get
the
too much
hairpin.
braking
Sean Allen
there.
manages to bring it back, and Thomas McMillan wisely slots in behind. But Thomas McMillan definitely has more pace in the car at this stage, I would expect.
Oh, was that a bit of a bump through the penultimate corner there? Difficult to tell because none of them can really drive away from the other one. Thomas McMillan is erratically quick, and Sean Allen is consistently quick, but not quite to the level of Thomas McMillan, who tries to stick his nose in through turn 1. You never are safe when you've got Thomas McMillan in your mirrors, and he's trying to put his stamp on this race. While they're doing this, we've got Dayne Warren has clawed about 4 or 5 seconds out of them while they're battling each other, and I'm surprised there's not more, to be honest. Kurt's made a pit stop.
Okay, I was wondering why he was in the forefront of my shot then. Oh, as Thomas McMillan dives down the inside.
How did he
He's held on to it.
2 wheels on the grass. He puts himself right in the way of Sean Allen, who gives him a bit of a bump to say, hey, you're not getting the lead that easily, my friend. Although Thomas might say it wasn't that easy. 2 wheels on the grass, and I kept a hold of the car. That's something to be pleased with. Anyway, battle for the lead continues.
Absolutely. My goodness, yeah, Thomas McMillan just needs to settle down a little bit. He is faster than Sean Allen at this stage in the race, at the very least. All he needs to do is keep his head on and just get a good run down that back straight and into that chicane. He will have him easily, but he keeps doing stuff like this. He's up alongside through the first corner, and they touch as they enter the chicane.
Yeah, Thomas McMillan
straight lines the
completely
chicane.
out of control. He really needed to yield that, and he has done so. Probably not because of what not purposefully, but just because Sean Allen's gave him a bit of a barge, and Thomas struggled to get the power down. Anyway, Dayne Warren is completely in the thick of the action here behind Hayden Kruger and Matt Devine, who themselves are having a battle over 9th and 10th place. Dayne trying not to lose too much time while he's siding his way through this traffic. Might be a good time for his pit stop.
It might be, yeah. That's what I believe. That's what Kurt Stenberg's done. He's thought, well, I've already taken a bunch of pain. I might as well get it out of the way. I reckon the issue for Dayne Warren, I think, is everyone in the chat just saying, oh, he's still doing 102s, blah blah blah. He's gaining 2 seconds a lap. But the issue is he's still got to have his pit stop, and then he's got to overtake the likes of Kurt Stenberg, Colin Warwick, and the people that aren't. They're not on perhaps Dayne Warren's level in terms of out and out speed, but they can definitely defend. And we've seen that in the season so far, when someone's gotten the jump on Dayne Warren and has managed to take the position from him at the start of the race, it's taken him a couple of laps to get past them. So
he's making his pit stop now, so we're going to find out. Meanwhile, Thomas McMillan is going down the inside of Sean Allen again.
He is. Perhaps this time it'll stick. He goes very wide when he swings out for that second part of the chicane, which gives Sean Allen just a little bit more breathing room than he probably would want to give him. As he goes down the inside at the hairpin, I reckon this might be it.
Into a door that wasn't really open for him by Sean Allen. And
this is going to end in this is going to be an aeroplane crash.
Trying to close the door on him, and he has managed to do so. I don't know how he's done that without that being an aeroplane crash, man.
These guys, They're going side by side at all the places.
Oh,
Dayne
no!
Warren with another
Gets
penalty!
another drive-through penalty. He must have sped in the pit lane. He's had
Calling
practice.
it. Dayne Warren nowhere near the podium. I'm calling it now.
Well, that's really not that hard. That's really actually ruined an interesting, quite an intriguing scenario for us. That's quite unfortunate.
Oh, that's a shame. He's probably frustrated from his error, trying to make up for it, not lose any more time in the pits than he needed to, and he's completely taken himself out of the reckoning. Thomas McMillan has made that position at the chicane. Sean Allen straight into the back of him. That's a little bit rude. Thomas McMillan holds onto it, and he's already got a little bit of a gap. So hopefully, if he can just hold on to this, keep calm. Dr. Joshi in the chat just saying Thomas should pit. He has much more pace.
Well, Sean
Allen has taken that. Yeah, so he's lost the position to Thomas McMillan. He's not going to gain anything more from staying out there because Thomas is probably going to walk away a little bit. All he could do is lose more time, so might as well get in there while he can.
So Dayne
Michael
Warren...
Zalavari, sorry, you go ahead.
Well, Dayne Warren's taking his drive-through penalty. He was about 15 seconds behind Kurt Stenberg after taking his pit stop, so that means that Kurt Stenberg has probably lost about 10 seconds and through his spin and subsequent pitting, so he may well factor later on in this race because he's only around about 10 seconds off where the leaders will probably feed out. So we'll see what happens with Sean Allen.
I know it's a short lap, Stairs, but we're on lap 19, and it doesn't feel like we are 2/3 of the way through this race.
No. We've also had, I think Luke Rosella's come into the pit lane because he was running just behind the leaders not too long ago.
Thomas McMillan in the pits. So he made that position on Sean Allen, and then he's done his one lap at full pace and straight into the pits. So whereabouts is Sean Allen at the moment? He's
coming out of
just
turn 4.
coming out of turn 4. Yeah.
So he dropped back to 8th with his pit stop. So we've still got quite a few people yet to make pit stops. David Nemeth.
And we reckon about 30 seconds for a full load of fuel.
Yeah, but they won't be taking a full load, I should think, from
Jack
here.
Handel DNF. What happened there?
I know. So he becomes the 3rd DNF of this race, along with Kurt Kostecki. No, Brody Kostecki. Had it right. I was getting this right at the start of tonight, and I'm not now. Dominic Farrell looks like the other retirement.
Looks as if Jack Handel just snatched his brakes as he was coming into the back chicane and dove straight into the wall. And it didn't look like that big a crash, but straight into the garage following, so it must have been bad enough.
All right, Thomas McMillan has just come out of the pits and has around about 1.5 seconds to Sean Allen, who will close him down with the warmer tyres, but that was probably a good move from Thomas McMillan. He had got the job done, but came in early to cover off the undercut of brand new tyres for Sean Allen.
This time last year, Thomas McMillan was sitting in the pit garage with his car a mangled mess at the in the runoff at turn 1. So this is certainly a turnaround in fortunes for him at race 2 of Pukekohe for Automobilista Supercars.
Brody Steen's in the pits, so we're going to see these guys cycle back through to 3rd and 4th. We're still waiting on Matt Devine and David Nenadic to make their pit stops, so Thomas McMillan will be the effective race leader once that happens. Michael Zalavari in the chat asking, which lap do Allen and McMillan take each other out? Well, McMillan looks to have the pace. Do you reckon Sean Allen can come back at him?
I don't think so. I think if Thomas McMillan just keeps his head down and keeps his cool, doesn't do anything particularly leery, I reckon he's got the measure of Sean Allen. He seems to have more pace, just he was struggling to get past him, but now that he is past him, I don't think Sean Allen's got an answer for it, although he hasn't been dropping away.
Now this is the battle for what I believe will become 3rd place. Luke Rosella has got Kurt Stenberg on the recovery trail right behind him. Luke Rosella, who was looking like he may well be in the prime position to take over the lead of the race if we had a disastrous end to the Thomas McMillan and Sean Allen battle. This will be the final spot on the podium. And Kurt Stenberg looks like he wants to relinquish Luke of that particular place.
And right behind him is Colin Warwick, the co-admin. So we might have the little tussle that I was predicting during qualifying. Dr. Joshi in the chat just saying they both seem to struggle when they're leading. I don't know. Thomas McMillan seems to be, with the exception of that little awkward line across turn 3, and even that wasn't too bad. He seems to be pretty have a good grip on it. Does Thomas McMillan?
He lost a 10th to Sean Allen on the previous lap, but wouldn't read too much into that. Traffic may well play a bit of a...
if I was Brap, I'd be... There we go.
He's got out.
He's going to start wanting to be getting out of the way, and then in fact he did. So very well done to Brap.
Done a good job in the end. So they're unlikely to be troubled by the guys up ahead. There's just Matt Devine left to make his pit stop. And Thomas McMillan has gone very, very deep there, and Sean Allen's caught him up. What's going on with Thomas
McMillan?
Right
out.
Is he fuel
They're
saving?
side by side.
They're
side by side. And he's trying to cut up the inside. Why has this occurred? Thomas McMillan is holding on to first place at the moment, but they're still almost side by side.
I wonder if he's under fuel and he's massively fuel saving right here. Wouldn't be the first time, but that would be a tremendous shame if that's what has happened.
I very much hope not, but that did seem like he just lifted out of it.
They've cycled through to the lead now with the pit stop being taken by Matt Devine, and now Sean Allen is going to go down the inside at turn 5. Thomas McMillan is the fiercest competitor if he's behind you, but if he's in front of you, he's a little pussycat.
Meow, 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 meow. As he's now relinquished the... I'm not even...
There he goes down the inside. He's going to take it back because he's behind you. He's fierce like a cat, and now he's in front. He is... Look at that. Like a little pussycat.
I don't even have... I know there's not much energy in my voice, but it's just... I'm not 100% sure what it is that I'm looking at.
Gather it up, because look at this. Kurt Stenberg now has got 3rd place from Luke Rosella, who's hanging it around the outside of that final corner. He's not going to give that up as a willing participant. In fact, he's got back through. And Kurt Stenberg
bloody well done.
is going to have to try a little bit harder than that. And Colin Warwick, with a watching brief in behind, certainly wants to pick up the pieces if there are anything, if there were to be any sort of calamitous situation arise out of this battle. Kurt Stenberg is... look at that, Luke Rosella trying to break the toe. Meanwhile, back at the front, Sean Allen still leads from Thomas McMillan.
Yeah, Thomas McMillan looked like he was going to swap up the inside there at the exit of the chicane. I'm just still confused as to I don't know if it was just a bad lap from Thomas McMillan that has led to this occurring. He seems to still be on pace with Sean Allen. He's not, although having said that, he's just lost about 2 or 3 tenths to him coming out of the hairpins. So
in this battle behind,
I'm just.
It's really weird. It's almost like Thomas McMillan wants the screen time, so he doesn't want to do a Dayne Warren, Sebastian Vettel type sort of skip away into the distance type of victory. He wants to keep swapping the position back and forth and try and make a bit of a show of it. They're about 8 seconds ahead of these guys we're looking at on screen right now, so there's not a huge amount of a threat now that Dayne Warren is completely out of it. And Luke Rosella is in his own little battle here with Kurt Stenberg, Colin Warwick, Brodie Steen and Zach Baker. And look at that, Luke Rosella trying to get a little bit of a toe from the back marker there, the wild card entry, flashing the lights as we can see. But he's obviously got some sim racing experience. As I say that, he goes a little bit wide, but he hangs onto the position. And Kurt Stenberg's going to try and drive around the outside, but he gets it all lit up on the exit. Somehow, though, he's still got his nose there. Poor old Luke Rosella's going to get hung out to dry here if he's not careful, because Colin Warwick's got his nose up inside at the hairpin. And Kurt Stenberg is ahead. Luke Rosella, does he have any response?
Yeah, it's bloody good racing from the Tamiya branded driver. He's hanging on to the back of Kurt Stenberg. He's not fading away as you would expect. Hopefully not an airplane crash here going into the chicane, because my goodness, they are close. And out the front, Thomas McMillan is closing down Sean Allen, but I'm still just confused. Stairs, I don't have words.
It's a strange one. If you just joined
in
us...
the chat, we've got Dr. Joshi saying, sounds like the sound of me being correct. And then Michael Zalavari pointing out purple sector 1 from McMillan last lap, yet can't stay ahead over the last section. He tries to go down the inside at the hairpin, succeeds, but then Sean Allen just drives around the outside of him.
Yeah, sorry, it's hard to know really where to look because the battles are on for young and old up and down the field. And at the moment, we've got a scintillating battle between Sean Allen and Thomas McMillan over first and second, and an equally scintillating battle now between Luke Rosella, although Kurt Stenberg started to skip away in third place, with Colin Warwick and Luke Rosella in fourth and fifth place, and then Brody Steen and Zach Baker behind them, having a good old tussle on their own, and then Thomas McMillan chucks it down the inside of turn 4 on Sean Allen for the lead of the race, but has to
How did he not
slot
get
in
that?
behind. He has probably just not got the traction on the inside that Sean Allen managed to get, but he's still up alongside. He will absolutely send it down here. He's completely out of control on the brakes, and Sean Allen can rightly feel a bit aggrieved about that because he gave Thomas McMillan plenty of room, and for his efforts, he got a face full of VB.
He did. No one wants a face full of VB. Dr. Joshy in the chat just saying, did Dayne pit again? He was on the lead lap, now lap down. He got another drive-through penalty when he came in to serve his pit stop.
Huge lock-up on Luke Rosella into the hairpin, and Colin Warwick gets up underneath him. And so that is another position down for Luke Rosella, who has been, I don't want to say batting above his average, because we don't really have a form book for him, but he's done a terrific job in his opening few races in this championship, so we don't have too much of a yardstick for him. So top 5 is a very, very commendable effort in the early stages of his Automobilista Supercars career.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it, a 4th and a 5th last round, and then 5th last race, and then at the moment looking like somewhere there or thereabouts again. Lewis Kugeley just saying, presumably in response to us saying no one wants a face full of VB, don't disrespect God's nectar.
Well, I might just leave that one where it is.
I think that says everything that needs to be said about Lewis Kugeley.
So yeah, if you have just joined us, Dayne Warren started this race on pole position with Brody Kostecki. Oh my goodness. Brody Kostecki was alongside him in second place. He DNF'd after an early spin in a terrific battle over second place. Dayne Warren was trying to skip away so that he could get a drive-through penalty for jumping the start done and then try and recover to some sort of respectable position, but then pushing too hard when he made his actual pit stop, he got another drive-through penalty and had to take another tour of the pit lane, and that's why he's down in 15th place. He'll still get points for 15th place, but as we detailed at the top of the broadcast, he has more than a race win advantage and will still be leading at the end of this night, even if he were to DNF. But I'm sure he'll want to pick up some points because there's a good chance he'll miss some races with E-Series going to happen later on in this year if he does indeed do that one again.
I can't imagine that he would turn it down. I'm all good, thanks. Meanwhile, here at the front, Sean Allen still in the lead over Thomas McMillan, but only just 10th and a half separating the two. Thomas McMillan seems to be coming back at him, so perhaps he has been fuel saving and now he's decided, well, I've got enough in the kitty now. He goes down the inside, speaking of kitties, and he fails to hang on to it, but my goodness, he is all over the back of that race on Oscar. Looks like he's going to have a go down the inside at the chicane. He's already alongside, and he's gotten it pulled up just again. There's a point where he isn't overlapped with Sean Allen where he could have just taken that position away from him.
He's
But
got 2 wheels on the grass. I wonder if he knows he does, because when he hits the brakes, there's going to be a bit of contact there, and Sean Allen gets the back out. I was going to say, with 2 wheels on the grass and 2 on the tarmac, there'll be quite a mismatch in the grip levels of your respective sides of your car.
And they're side by side going through the last corner, which is, I thought Thomas McMillan was going to cause an aeroplane crash there when he swept across to try to take the inside line for the first corner, which he has. So he is now ahead. He's getting bump drafted the entire way by Sean Allen. This is a tricky series of corners at the best of times, let alone when you've got a race on Oscar right up your chuff. But they've managed to negotiate it effectively. And Thomas McMillan, at the moment, is in the lead. But as we've seen, he doesn't seem to be 100% sure on whether he wants the lead, Stairs.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced that he's got enough fuel still because he just keeps rolling out of it. Sean Allen once again goes down the inside. Oh! That was contact. That was heavy contact. Oh, was that a retaliatory move, I wonder? For Sean Allen, he doesn't usually get too involved in these sort of silly buggers type things, but this time, this is personal. This is for the win of the race, and
that looked a little bit. That looked a bit. Someone who was driving rude in the first race. I think McMillan was fairly innocent in that. Sean Allen, a little bit rude himself with a couple of taps on Thomas McMillan's rear and side, but he's managed to get back up ahead now as they come on.
Sorry. No, I've cut across you there. Social distancing needs to end.
I've realised.
Here we go. Once again, gets two wheels up on the curb on the inside. He's done that so many times this race. It doesn't really get him the run that he needs, and they're really falling back now into the clutches of Kurt Stenberg. He had a 10-second gap to the leaders, and now it's 5 seconds, and they once again crisscross into the chicane.
He's hung onto it though, and he's managed to close the door on the apex to stop Sean Allen from getting up alongside, and he's managed to catch that. Oh my goodness, and he's still down the inside at the hairpin, tries to force Sean Allen very wide, which he does. Looks like his tyres are just, it doesn't look like he's got too much grip in him. And we're on lap 32, about to become 33, so this is becoming very, very tight if Thomas McMillan is going to take this win, Stairs.
Thomas McMillan pitted 1 lap earlier than Sean Allen. It's
so 1 lap after Sean Allen.
Didn't Thomas come in first?
No, Sean Allen lost the position to Thomas McMillan and then came in, and then Thomas McMillan had 1 lap of the lead by himself and then came in a lap later. So Thomas McMillan's tyres should, in theory, be a lap fresher, but he seems to be struggling at the moment where Sean Allen isn't. Now, they're side by side here, so there's not going to be any slipstream for either of them, although Thomas McMillan is the barest margin ahead as they come down into this back chicane. And he's managed to pull it up in time this time around. Although Sean Allen just drives around the outside of the second part of the chicane and is now going to have the inside for the hairpin. What is going on, Stairs?
3.4 seconds Kurt Stenberg is behind them. He's catching up, and he may well be there to snatch a victory right at the death. It's unfortunate that I can't show you this battle between Luke Rosella and Colin Warwick on the other screen. I'm watching this battle with one eye and the other battle with another eye, and it's hard to know where to look. But of course, we focus on this because this is the battle for the lead of the race. And Sean Allen and Thomas McMillan both don't know when they'll get another opportunity to win a race, with Dayne Warren being so dominant in this championship. Once again, down the inside at turn 1 for Thomas McMillan. Drives around the outside of turn 2, gives Sean Allen a room. Sean Allen will try and drive around the outside. He's got a little bit wide there on 4. Thomas McMillan is going to get a little bit of a break here.
I reckon that might be it. He's got a decent lead now over Sean Allen. They've been neck and neck for the last, I don't even know how many laps. If Thomas McMillan can just hold on to this advantage, even if he loses a little bit of time, if he can just hold on to a bit of an advantage, he's only got a lap and a sector left in this race. He can just cool his head, keep to his racing line, and I reckon he's got this win. As I've said that, I've of course cursed him to not win the race.
Remember, he's leading, so you know it tends to be a little bit timid when he's leading.
Marcus Alivari
says big dick energy McMillan.
Yeah, I think that was the first turn where he swung it down the inside of Sean Allen. I was amazed that didn't end in tears. He has a 1 second lead as they begin the last lap.
Wow, that's gone by in a flash. Can you believe it's the end of this race? We haven't even had time for a stock take. There's been so much happening. Thomas McMillan leads by 0.8 of a second from Sean Allen. Kurt Stenberg was catching them at a rate of knots, but because they're not in each other's doors all the time, as they were for the previous 10 laps, his rate of closing in has certainly diminished. Colin Warwick has managed to seal 4th place by the looks of it, with Luke Rosella in 5th place. Zach Baker and Sig Brody Steen, David Nedovich, Hayden Kruger and Alex Cattle rounds out the top 10. That's the way it stands at the moment.
3 corners.
Thomas McMillan looks like he's got it in hand if he doesn't run out of fuel. And Sean Allen with... he fought tooth and nail the whole way, and either one of them would have been a deserving winner, but it is Thomas McMillan who's going to become the third winner in the Automobilista Supercars Championship for 2020. What a terrific race that was.
What an absolute cracker. I'm grinning, like, pardon my French, proverbial from ear to ear. That was bloody fantastic. Luca Rosella ended up coming home in 4th place.
Yeah, what
ahead
happened
of
to
Zach
Colin Warwick
Baker.
on the last lap? He's somehow managed to spin and lose 4 or 5 places there, down into 8th, so that is a disaster.
He's losing
for Colin
more places, so he hasn't actually finished the last lap. He is still on lap 35. He is down in 10th place.
He's blown an engine, I think. What on earth has happened there?
At the death, he has blown an engine.
That
Thomas
is
McMillan
really, really bizarre. So we'll
deservedly doing a large amount of donuts on the back straight. My goodness.
So
I'm still coming
some
down
late
from
race
it.
drama. Well, Luke Rosella gets home into 4th place. It was a great battle he had all the way. Maybe he ran out of fuel. I don't know. We're gonna see if we can catch a replay now and see what happened to Colin Warwick. This is on the last lap. He's still ahead of Luke Rosella at this point and trying to break the slipstream. I wonder if he was just a little bit low on fuel. So still okay here. No problems. Let's listen to the downshift. He's blown the engine on the downshifts.
Yeah, he's gone straight and he's gone far too fast. Dr. Josh here saying Colin Warwick starting the top percent barbecue a bit early. That's accurate. Speaking of blown engines, I reckon Thomas McMillan might have blown his in his celebrations because there is a large amount of smoke coming from his car. Actually, never mind, it seems to have cleared up.
Probably tyre smoke, I would say, but Colin Warwick was trying to limp it home. In the end, it doesn't look like he has managed to cross the line.
No, so he will finish. He's actually DNF'd.
He'll be
He is
last
DNF'd on.
Yeah, that'll be a tricky one for the stewards to figure out whether he gets the points or not, because he didn't actually finish, but he was ahead of lapped runners. I'll leave that one to someone else's very capable hands. But it's Thomas McMillan from Sean Allen who takes victory in race 2 here at Pukekohe, Madbird.
Richly deserved, either him or Sean Allen. I think I wouldn't have been too upset if they had taken that. That was an absolute. I don't even have words. That was a cracker of a race. I loved every second of that. That did not feel like it was 35 laps long.
Now, Dayne Warren ended up finishing 15th. So he'll get quite a few points for that, but it certainly won't be what he was hoping for tonight. That's by far his worst result of the night, of the championship and the night. But he will hold on to the championship lead with that.
Yeah, as you said, he had over a race win's worth of points in hand, which is significant.
Yes, it is. And that was from Brody Steen, who ended up finishing in 6th place. So he won't have capitalised as much as he might have.
Still, it's still points that he has caught on Dayne Warren, and you never know, as you say, with E-Series later in the year and such. Who knows if there'll be opportunities later in the year, and those points might be the difference. We never know. Although there is the drop round, of course, but if he misses races, he'll presumably want to drop them instead of the race where he finished 15th.
Depends when he misses them, because they're only allowed to drop their worst result before Bathurst. So if he misses rounds after Bathurst, he won't be able to drop those. So that may well be something, but certainly this is the worst round that he's had in the championship so far. Still had a win, so it hasn't been a complete write-off, but nonetheless. Well, let's have a bit of a chat with him. Dayne, congratulations on your win in race 1 and your pole position 100% record, which continues intact, but it didn't work out for you in race 2 tonight.
Oh, that's alright. Yeah, look, I could try and make some excuses, but yeah, just forgot that the pit lane speed limit existed 2 or 3 times, and kind of screwed myself over. But it was good to see McMillan take his first win, and yeah, done a DNF once, which is good. Hopefully we get some more of those throughout the season, but yeah, no, it was good overall.
Absolutely. Gracious in defeat, but well, tell us what happened. Were you, I mean, you say you forgot about the pit lane speed limit. Were you just pushing hard to make up for lost time?
Yeah, well, obviously it started from the jump start at the start, and then from then it was just kind of compounded. And yeah, as you were saying, the pit speed limit thing was just, I don't know, must have been a K or two over at the entry and gave me penalty because yeah, I accidentally pressed, I think, the neutral button instead of the pit limiter. So it was just stupid mistakes, but that's right. It's all good fun.
Proving to your competition that you are actually human, Dayne Warren. Commiserations and congratulations.
Yep, cheers, lads.
Moving on to our race winner for race number 2, Thomas McMillan. What a show you put on for us tonight.
Oh, how good was that? First off, credit to Sean. That was an awesome battle. We had a few little touch-ups, but we redressed when we did, and yeah, we kept the win alive. It sucked for Stanny and Colin. They did get held up a bit. They would have been in the battle too, but yeah, that was awesome. Good to take a win this season.
Absolutely, well done to you on that one. It was interesting. It looked at sometimes like you might have had the pace to break away, but then Sean Allen sort of closed back up. Was there any fuel saving or anything going on, or was that just Sean Allen being mega under brakes and catching you up?
I was just trying to, once I got in front, I just tried to be careful and not to overuse my tyres, because from that battle, as Sean would have had as well, it killed your tyres. You had nothing. It was like an ice skating rink.
Yeah, well, we certainly saw quite a few people wiggling on the exits of corners. So how were your tyres at the end of that race? We saw once you got a bit of a break right at the end of race 2, it looked like yours to lose from that point onwards.
Yeah, it was very sketchy, but I just took it easy. I knew Sean would be pushing. I saw him make a couple mistakes behind me, but I just kept going and hoped he didn't catch up. And yeah, I got through.
And third place in race 1 as well, so a terrific night of racing for you tonight.
Was it the third? I thought I came fourth. I don't know, but yeah, that was
third
another good race as well.
Maybe I've written down the wrong thing, but that's what I've written down. It's potential.
I think it was 4th, but I'm not 100% sure myself.
So apologies to whoever I've just thrown under the bus who actually finished third in race 1.
I think it was Mo.
It was, sorry?
Yeah. Mo.
I apologise. Anyway, we'll move swiftly on from that one. In race number 2, of course, we had that fantastic battle with Sean Allen with Thomas McMillan. So, Sean, how was that from your perspective?
Race 2 was absolutely mega. That's probably the best race I've had in this series, full stop. Me and McMillan practice race every now and then, so we sort of know each other's quirks and how aggressive we both are. So I'm actually surprised we didn't bin it.
And not for lack of trying. There was a bit of door-to-door going on, but
yeah,
as Thomas said, you both redressed when it was warranted, and you were both able to fight it for another lap or 2.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't giving him any space, and he knows that, so he knows some corners he's just got to drive straight into the side of the door. But in the race, if it upset me, then he's just sort of backing off a little bit to redress, which was nice of him.
And then it was just a little mistake. It was on the penultimate lap or the last lap where he got the break on you.
Yeah, I think it was the second to last lap, as you said. I sort of went, I don't know what I was doing. I was trying to hold a bit too much gas through into turn 4 to try and hang around the outside of him, but I sort of ballsed it up and yeah, he got away from me just that little bit too much.
And as we detailed embarrassingly for me earlier on, third in the first race, so a terrific set of results for you tonight.
Yeah, it's about time I got a double podium again. I've had some pretty shocking races so far this year, so it's good to have some good results finally.
Fantastic. And then Perth coming up for the next round. How are you feeling about Barbagallo?
Well, last year I had 2 race wins and a pole position, so
Of course.
I'm hoping I can sort of replicate that as best as I can, but the competition's mega this year. I expect Dayne, if he's there, to just wipe the floor with us, and I don't think we're going to have that glitch in the last corner again that caused so much havoc that allowed me to win the first race, so we'll sort of see.
Oh well, congratulations on a set of very well-deserved results tonight, and best of luck in the next round for you, Sean.
Thanks, boys.
And then our third place man in race number 2, Kurt Stenberg. An interesting race, it has to be said. In the battles early on, and then an excellent recovery drive, making up positions to finish on third. And when Sean Allen and Thomas Vermeulen were fighting and you were catching up, you must have thought you were a chance for a victory as well.
Did, mate. I thought that they might tangle and I might get a victory, but I'm kicking myself that I spun out there. I reckon I could have won that race. I know Thomas was pretty fast, Sean was pretty fast, but I was in the race there and I threw it away. But I pitted immediately and managed to get an undercut on most other people. Only got held up by Colin and Luke and came back through trying to get back to him, but just, yeah, ran at a time.
Well, it's a good strategy to recover a race that seemingly might have got away from you, but is there a sense of nervousness when someone as dominant as Dayne Warren ends up making a mistake and there's an open goal, so to speak, for everyone else to potentially get a win that might not otherwise have been available?
Well, I was definitely driving harder knowing that was a thing, so knowing that the win was on the line, I wanted to try and get it, and I made sure I got past Brody, and then I wanted to try and stay in front of those guys, but yeah, lit up the throttle, just trying too hard, got a tiny bit distracted, and yeah, it's just an error that you make in a race, and I'm disappointed, so...
But nonetheless, a 6th place tonight and a 3rd place, good points for your championship campaign.
Yeah, exactly, mate, and awesome racing. Like, both races had insane battles. The first race ended poorly for me, but that battle was insane between Brody, Thomas, Sean, everybody who was in that battle. Colin, I can't even remember, and then there was a big crash, and yeah, it didn't end very well, but great race. It
certainly was, and unfortunately, Brody Kostecki isn't with us to talk about his podium and battles tonight, but a terrific wildcard entry from Brody Kostecki tonight to get a podium in his very first Automobilista Supercars Championship race. So, Madbird, that was Pukekohe. I think we're all glad that we raced here instead of Hampton Downs, so there is some...
That was bloody fantastic.
There is some silver lining to this COVID-19 dark cloud.
There is. Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Great racing all up and down the field in both races. Especially that, McMillan and Allen in the second race. That was an absolute cracker. Probably the best battle since Winton, I want to say, last season. Which
Hidden
was
Valley.
Also a cracker.
Hidden Valley was a good
Hidden Valley, yeah. McMillan and Stenberg was also an absolute ding-dong battle, as you would say. But very much enjoyed it. Fantastic race. What about you, Stez?
Yeah, it's a bit hard on Dayne Warren always to say that the race that he doesn't win is the cracker, but I mean we had so many battles going on up and down the field, some that we couldn't really show you that were going on, the likes of Luke Rosella and Colin Warwick and a few others in there behind. We couldn't show you the lion's share of that battle just because there was so much going on at the front, but up and down the field, an absolutely cracker night of racing.
Absolutely.
And then next round is the Perth Super Night race. Didn't get the chance to commentate on that one last year, so very much looking forward to that. You took over with Michael Zalavari this time last year, and so in about, I think, 3 or 4 weeks' time, we'll have that one.
I'm very, very much looking forward to not having to put on the broadcast because, my goodness, it has only got more complex since last year.
Yeah, you could say that. That'll be the 19th of May, a Tuesday night for the Perth Super Night, and then of course the night before that is the Super 2 race of the Barbagallo Night round, and that'll be of course hosted once again by Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick, and we look very much forward to your company on both of those 2 nights. For now, see you later.
See you later.